Oh, hello there. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, or whatever time zone it is, wherever you in the world. It is your Lord and Saviour with three amazing folks where we are going to play The World Below, a brand new tabletop role playing game by Onyx Path Publishing. And I could introduce everybody here, but I think it would be much more wholesome if everybody did it themselves. So, starting with the individual on my right, Kim, who the hell are you?
Hi, I'm Kim Godwin. I am a freelancer with Onyx Path, and I actually worked on World Below, along with several other many projects for the past 3 years, under Matthew, actually. He keeps hiring me, and I'm just going to keep going with it. We'll see how far this goes.
Well, hopefully, far, far, far away into the deep and wonderful future, as well, regarding how spooky that may be. And
Maybe
to
somewhere
my
deep beneath the sea next.
mm,
It has been
teasers,
known.
and to my bottom right, Rico, who the hell are you?
Hi, I'm Rica, and when I'm not working as a support worker or nurse, I am drawing a lot of things, and occasionally trying to write my own homebrew, but that has been on the hold at the moment, sadly.
Hmm. Now I know the answer to this, but there's going to be at least one person who asks, "What sort of homebrew is it?"
I'm trying to give the Daughters of Cacophony a proper place in V5.
Yes, because that's a conversation for a different time, I think.
It's a noble goal, a noble goal. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. If I was still involved in V5 at all, I'd be doing the same thing with the Kia Seed. But
Thank you, thank you.
And to that end, who is the gentleman gamer beneath me?
well, symbolic. There. My name is Matthew Dawkins. I am the developer of The World Below, along with a bunch of other games. And so, yes, The World Below was my concept, wonderfully written by talented authors, including Kim here, and including Ed Greenwood, very well known for the Forgotten Realms, of course. He's one of the co-creators of The World Below, and many others. And this is a game I've very much been looking forward to. I obviously run an awful lot more than I play, and yeah, it's always a pleasure to get to play something and see how someone else interprets my game. I don't have any expectations because I love it when games go off book, off page, call it what you like, and yeah, I'm just here to have fun.
And I'm here to hopefully deliver on said fun, for I will be your story guide and, I guess, narrator for the duration of the session. But who am I? Well, beyond the Law and Saviour, I am the Law by Night podcast guy, where usually I'm talking about a variety of World of Darkness related themes, primarily vampire. I have written some homebrew for V5, but for a variety of different reasons, any other future plans regarding homebrews on hold, but that's a conversation for a different time. I do, as I said, various World of Darkness narration themes, all in character, guides, book reviews, the whole shebang, as it were. And I also run the occasional action play, such as this one here, in this lovely rectangular space on screen. As said already, we are running The World Below, an exciting new TTRPG from Onyx Path. What is exactly the World Below, Matthew?
Well, The World Below is our new subterranean fantasy role playing game. The main objectives are to dig, build, slay, explore, survive. That's five objectives now. It was four in the interview I did with Jack earlier. So, as a general rule, your characters, who are descended from individuals who uh, participated in a refugee exodus from the world above many generations before, occupy settlements and communities dotted throughout the world below, separated by vast hives of carnivorous bugs, dreadful beasts, environmental phenomena that tends to be pretty hazardous, along with various chaotic phenomena too, chaotic being the magic of this setting. characters can't stay walled in their sanctuaries forever. They must explore outward, they must forge paths, map parts of the world below in order to find safe routes to resources, from crops, fungi, lichen, and other things that can be grown in a subterranean environment, all the way through to minerals, ores, things they need to build tools and habitats. And of course, they want to find other survivors or the descendants of other survivors in other settlements, other colonies, other communities. Individuals in the world below tend to be of a fairly robust bent. You have to be to survive in a place like this. It seems to some that the world is out to get you. To others, the world below provides. These individuals worship the world and think that it is the only thing that has saved them from being utterly destroyed by both the cataclysm in the world above and the various creatures and threats in the world below. So you can be a character of many different origins. You can have many different purposes, callings, which basically form the cornerstone of your class, as it would be in other role-playing games. And yeah, the game is primarily story-driven. What your character wishes to achieve, how they interact with the environment and the people around them, whether they survive from this season to the next, is all part of the game of the world below and the stories you tell within it.
Which sounds very familiar waters for those who have experienced Onyx Path stuff before, but also very new and interesting and frightening things as well, which also is on par with Onyx Path stuff. But we'll explore all those in good time, I'm sure, as well, if it's new and unique systems, as this is using the Story Path Ultra system. I have to try and remember because there's so many variations of that. Yeah, so before we get stuck in, I just want to highlight that we have done our consent and safety things, our very impromptu session 0, our do's and don'ts, as it were. And we have our measures put in place should something pops up that somebody feels uncomfortable with. And likewise, if anybody's watching this and there's something that bothers you, the dear listener and viewer, you're more than welcome to take a break or just stop watching entirely. And I say that because as the story guide, it's my job to make sure that everybody's having a good time, but not to inflict trauma, because as a friend of mine once said recently, a horror without consent is trauma, and I do not want to be inflicting trauma upon anyone. So always put yourselves first, and if you need a break, take a break. If this isn't for you, that's absolutely fine. I have no hard feelings whatsoever. And without further ado, are our trio of players sitting comfortably?
Reasonably.
Yep.
Good and adequate, I guess, for the one individual. Then let's begin. The world is full of wonders once upon a time. Who knows, it might still well be if poisoned landscape sounds like your cup of tea. Dreamers and believers debate what actually happened up top. And whilst it sounds like I'm going to describe to you one of these theories or bestow upon these hidden facts, as it were, the truth is that none of these people really know. Honestly, the vast don't care. The world below is their home, with anything above the surface and in the stars, bringing variety in varying levels of agonising doom. Of course, that doesn't make the world below any safer. Across the globe, the communities of diverse ancestries have established their kingdoms, towns, settlements, etc., and continue to discover and expand and populate new subterranean lands. Our tale begins very deep into the world's core, specifically the iron stratum. Iron is widely distributed around the world below, running in veins similar to the roots of upturned trees. It permeates every layer and also creates its own layer of reddish rock, the rock containing a significant amount of water that often flows or seeps through it. And in case I wasn't very clear, we are deep underground in the settlement of Gnarl's Knee. Our trio here have been summoned to its chieftain, a matter most urgent, and it is assumed that the three of you have not encountered before. Maybe you would have heard of each other before in some passing or whatever. But So who are we playing tonight? Again, we'll go in the similar clockwise fashion as before. Kim, what would you like to share about your character?
I'm playing Noki. She is a very morbid platonic hunter who is very fascinated by how people and things have twisted since descending into the depths. She's very interested in seeing how things work, even as she herself becomes twisted and slides into the abyss.
That does indeed sound very morbid, but also very appropriate for the setting. Thank you. Awesome source. I'm sure that's going to get increasingly morbid as we go on. And Rica, who and what are you?
I am playing Milo, who is a herbalist who hasn't been in the settlement for long. The settlement he's from has fallen to the abyss, sadly. So he's a refugee. He's been in the settlement for about 2 months now, so not very long. And he doesn't quite trust all this chaos stuff. All this magic is uncertain, but herbs are not, fungi are not. Those you can trust.
No. Again, more morbid and sad vibes all around, which again is beautiful in its own macabre way. Matthew, is your character equally or more so morbid, or is there some level of optimism that can be found here?
I don't think she really has much of a capacity for morbidity. Emerald in the Clay, that's her name, is Elfkin from the settlement of Erehulk originally, the massive upturned ship that's found in the deep of the world below. And she is an alchemist by trade and calling. She belongs as a faithful to the Church of Golthon. So she believes that charity, alms, help should be extended to any who need it. In that regard, she can't find it in herself to be a pessimist. She feels that there is hope in the world below. There has to be, that people need to work together to survive. The individuals who strive out into the tunnels only exist to face a doom or their own selfish grandeur. I think most notably about Emerald, she is utterly lacking in social skills and attributes, mechanically speaking. She is, to be completely meta about it, down on 1 dot in presence and 1 dot in composure. This is not where she wants to be challenged. So she takes most things as they come. She can't negotiate. She can't intimidate. She just tries to make the best of any bad situation.
And it sounds like wonderful qualities to basically be spoken to by one's chieftain, leader, whatever you want to call it, in this vast, very stoic of a landscape with these tall, imposing buildings surrounded in an arena of safety or impending doom, depending on your outlook on life, which on most of the place is probably one of misery.
Sounds like it.
So you are standing in front of, I guess, the door to the main grand hall being made to wait patiently as your chieftain, Burb, which is spelt Bob, but it's got the 2 little dots over it, but it's pronounced Burb, basically is awaiting for you to arrive, and then you're being made to wait as various bits of admin things haven't caught up with him. So, what does everybody look like, by the way?
Noki's mostly hidden by crude leather armor and mask. She does what parts of her skin are exposed or covered in body paint. She's an Apprecian, so she's hidden her face has been hidden since she's gone through her initiation into the culture after the long trail. So there isn't much that you can see of her besides her weapon and her arms, probably.
Fair enough. And what about for Milo? Rica.
Milo is a tall, lanky figure with ash brown hair that goes about to his shoulders. And he's wearing beige and brown clothes, which don't look very clean. You can see some dirty spots here and there, probably from foraging or something.
Fair enough. And then leaves our alchemist.
Yeah, Emerald is a rather heavy-set young woman. Shaves her head. Unlike many elfkin, she doesn't keep her hair long. She keeps it smooth because she doesn't want it to get caught while she's working. She's probably set it on fire far too many times to warrant lengthy locks. Plus, her dialectic is beginning to show. As well as being fairly stout and muscular, her elemental dialectic is beginning to infuse her morphology. How that manifests is this small stubble of hair on top of her head, occasionally in just the right light, just seems to crackle with electricity, like there's a loose wire somewhere in her head and you can just see the thoughts running around it, like a loose spark going on in there. Otherwise, she is heavily laden down with tools. She, much like Milo, is dressed for travel, but she has in a sack and belt and straps all the vials, picks, and various things that an alchemist should use. She is also a member of the company of artificers. It doesn't pay to go out unequipped.
All dressed for the jobs at hand. Eventually, not too sure how much time passes, maybe it's a couple minutes, maybe it's 10, but the great doors to the hall just slowly swings open and you can smell and feel the warmth of the warmth of burning metal just sort of wafts through. It almost like greets you with a warm embrace, quite literally a warm embrace, leading into this hall of like stoic furnishings and drapings of the banners and very proud house that this place is. And at the very far end, at the other end of a huge eating table, is our great chieftain Burb, whose void-induced arms and hands sort of clutches round a oak-like substance of a chair, whose more, from his sitting position, is more beard than he is man. He's a dwarven individual with a thick black beard with a very narrow brow whose eyes tell many a story of one to most people would be quite furious. And he watches the three of you approach him, to which he says, "I apologise for keeping you waiting. There was some unattended business that I had to attend to. I hope your journey here wasn't too arduous."
I clap my hands together and walk straight up to him. I don't respect or know to respect ceremonies. Immediately examining the oak of his chair. No, it's quite all right. Quite all right. Is this actual wood? Is this actual wood? Did you manage to harvest this from some of the roots that are still protruding from up there, or is this fungus, or was it changed into wood through sorcery? You've got to tell me, how is this wood?
As soon as Emerald says fungus, Milo just also goes for his desk and looks at it.
Would you like to investigate the chair as well?
Yes, of course.
I'm sorry, you're the chieftain, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Well, in that case, you're the best person to ask. I'm sorry if I wasn't clear first time around. It's just this throne. Is it wood?
Aye, that it is. It's hard to come by, but it's been in my family for a few generations now. But pardon me to be a bit rude. I didn't summon you all here today to investigate my chair. He's sort of looking at you, Milo, just like, I don't know, seeing how much fungi is growing on the underarm.
Yep, Milo just leans over to Emerald and says, "It's chestnut wood."
No.
It is.
I stand back, fold my arms. I respect this man.
It's just staring at the two of you, just completely perplexed, and he sort of looks to the one who isn't investigating the chair. Would you like to come and have a look at the chair as well, or shall we get on to the actual reason why I brought you here today?
If I would like to carry on, I'm sure there's something you need us to do.
Well, but just before, do you have any other furniture?
I beg your pardon?
Oh, sorry. I'm sometimes slow to... No, do continue. I know you didn't... You said you didn't bring us here to examine your chair, though you probably should have.
He lets out
Sure,
a
we can
lot...
find some lichen somewhere in like one of the tunnels or something, but...
With a large, exasperated sigh and eyes that say, why the fuck did I get these three here? He leans back in his chair and it groans as much as he would like to groan right now.
Whoa. That's delicate. Careful. When it makes that sound, that isn't a happy sound.
He won't say anything, he'll just carry on as he was. The reason why I brought you here was, oddly enough, for a matter of great urgency and to be acted with some discretion. He rolls his eyes, not trying to hide his exasperation, not that he was trying hard before. And he sort of, again, leans forward with the creaking of the chair, not as much as before, trying to control himself, not so much for the chair's sake, but more for the sake of his sanity. In the late hours of the light last night, my brother, Arzak, had gone missing, and I would like some outsiders of the court, so to speak, to go investigate where the bloody hell he's gotten to. You up for the task?
Sure.
Yeah.
You want him back alive, right?
Ideally, yes. What do you mean, ah?
Well, you know, it's... I'm sure I'm speaking to someone who already knows that it's quite dangerous outside Nalsny. It took me a long time to get here in one piece from Erahulk, and this was only meant to be a simple rest stop for me, but I found so many interesting things to do, and of course the chair as well is captivating. But yes, I'd be pleased to help you find your brother, Bob. It would be a delight, especially if I could maybe sit in it, if as payment. Maybe take a sample from the arm or one of the parts that hasn't been caressed and eroded away by your frankly hirsute form. I imagine those hairs are quite weathering on the chestnut.
I think this would be an appropriate moment to get our first roll of the session.
Not get punched in the face.
Yeah, something like that. I wasn't quite expecting how things to go, admittedly. So, as with many a story path telling system, whatever call it, this requires a combination of a skill and an attribute. I would say, looking at my copy of the character sheet, this would probably be a persuasion and presence roll.
Well, that's one die for me.
I was going to apply a complication to that, but I now...
Oh, please feel free.
Oh,
Just hope for tens.
Alright, okay, so what is a complication? Well, as per the story path telling what to call it system, the story path ultra system requires you to roll 8s and above for successes, or as this game calls it, hits. If you get the hits, you get the successes that you want, but complications are added in sometimes to add a bit of spice, so to speak. So really you're looking for two slightly different difficulty modifiers. So I am wanting a 1 success to pass, but then a complication of 2, and if you manage to go over that, you will not endure the spice, as it were.
Well, here we go. I will press on. Oh, well, I got a 3, so that I neither hit the difficulty nor buy off the spicy complication.
Which is rather unfortunate. I think the patience of Burb, our chieftain here, has now worn officially thin. I have quite had enough of you asking about their bloody chair. This is a serious matter here. A very important individual of the court's gone missing. You ask one more time about this bloody chair out of your hands. You understand? Good. As I was saying, Aja, my brother, has gone missing. The interesting part of that is I'm not entirely too sure where he's gone. I am sure in his quarters he might have left a clue somewhere, somehow, which will hopefully point you all into the right direction.
We can certainly try our best. I'm, for one, glad to see other parts of the area. To find your brother, of course.
Wonderful. There's a lot in
What
now,
does your
isn't he?
brother look like?
Oh, he's similar to I, just a bit smaller and stockier, but rather than a great impressive black beard, and he sort of caresses his beard with both his hands, just stroking it all the way down, perhaps suggestively. Rather than impressive black beard, his is a great crimson of a colour. He's not as well built as I am either. He sort of flexes his arms, blinks, realising he's getting sidetracked in his ego. But yeah, it's just similar to I, really. You'll know him when you see him.
I'm sure we will do our level best, Chieftain Bob. And while I've already put down my request for payment for doing this favour, I'm assuming you wouldn't be trying to hire foreigners like us gratis. I'm guessing my new friends here probably aren't going to want the same fee.
Yeah. We're looking for appropriate compensation. Something that we can trade with the moths, or just supplies.
I'm more than
For
happy
the time.
to. I am more than happy to provide that once you bring news on Ardva.
I would honestly like a better accommodation. I know I've not been here for long, but you know the cave hall that 4 other people have been living with me right now, that's almost as big as the tile over there on your floor. I would appreciate something bigger, please.
Ah, so you want a bigger cave?
Yes.
That can be arranged. You can get the trading supplies that you need, and then looks at you, Emerald, and you really want to sit on the chair.
Well, to be honest, I mean, the sitting on the chair is a perk. I'd really just like a scraping from the chair. You know, as an alchemist, it's vital that I collect as many samples of different ores, minerals, materials as possible. You never know what might assist in my studies, sciences, and sorceries, and a slither, a decent-sized one from your chair would, well, it would be worth all the chairs I've ever sat on before.
I'll think about that one. We can come to some sort of agreement about that. Which is the best I'm willing to do given everything that's just happened.
Well, I'm not going to push it, don't worry. Well, direct us to where your brother made his habitat, and we will happily have a dig around.
At that instance, a guard who's in a very thick, sort of a coppery armour and a helmet, sort of like comes up to the 3 of you, directly to the quarters in question, and keep an eye on that one. He points at you, Emerald.
Fine, he's on to me. I was hoping that he would leave the throne room before I did, so that I could take a slither of throne. But fine,
Throw a
fine.
smoke bomb and just go steal it or something.
Just run off with the throne. Right, I'm out. You enjoy the game.
And that concludes the throne below.
Yes.
So with that, the guard and sort of a centaurian kind of design escorts you through these very lavish halls, with very dimly lit corridors and hallways of torches that are very nicely. It sort of gives the armor a bit of a sparkle, but at the same time, kind of an intimidating look all the same, as all the highlights and the details of the armor in question just make it look more bulky than it first appeared. But you're not walking for very long. You're led to a room with a very formal door that's been deliberately left ajar. He sort of looks at the three of you, particularly you, Emerald, and he sort of squints, gestures his head towards said ajar.
Well, thank you.
He
I'm
nods.
going to lean towards Milo. I have to say, walking through these halls, they certainly reserve the best accommodation to the hierarchy in this place, don't they?
They really did. Like, the place I'm living at right now is just the bottom space of this one of that armor. That's not fair.
No, I'm knee deep in dirty water, and I count myself lucky. The people in the cave next door, they've got spikes in their one.
Oh wow. Maybe we should have traveled a bit farther, like after our settlement went to, be dark.
Well, let's keep our eyes on the prize.
Yes, alchemy studies and wood shavings.
Yes.
Exactly.
Rarer than gold in a place like this.
Yes, go big or go home. I am assuming that the three of you... Sorry.
Oh, Noki's just gonna go into the room. It's like, okay, I'm gonna go start looking around for tracks or something. Well, they appraise the furniture.
Sure, and I'm imagining that our two new best of friends are going to enter as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you enter, to use a more modern term of phrase, it's kind of like a bomb that has been dropped off here. There's furniture has been tipped over, the bed's a mess, like bits of paper and whatnot all over the place. It's like either this has been caused by someone like creator scene, or somebody was really looking for something. And for those who were inspecting the furniture, you do have like a similar, the wood, making wood beds, bookshelves. It actually looks quite nice in here.
There might be a splinter or two somewhere in this mess, so I guess we should dig around a bit to see if we can find things like footprints and
Listen,
splinters.
I don't expect a hunter to appreciate some of the things that I appreciate, but please, I'll refrain from commenting on how you got an R3 if you refrain from commenting on how I harvest materials.
It's pretty obvious how I get mine, so...
Would you go in through the back? I don't know.
Depends.
Is Bab still there?
Sorry?
Is Bab or Chief there?
No.
Or has he just gone?
Oh, I don't think he followed us. The guard escorted us. But yeah, is the guard watching us investigate?
He is not. He's on just on the outside of the door. So you imagine the door frame is like there. He's like standing to one side, staring off into a wall, very militaristically. So
Yeah.
but he's not watching you. He probably can hear you, but he's not passing any comment and keeping all judgments and reserves to himself.
Okay, Milo would go to the guard and tap them on the shoulder and just ask, "Do you know what this guy smells like?"
With that question, this guard just sort of turns round and, with a look of disdain that would resemble someone who had just stepped in dog muck, like, what?
It's all right, Milo. There's some bedding here. We can probably work that out ourselves.
Thank you.
Uh,
Milo just goes around to the bedding and smells it.
the guard will watch you enter the room with this like wide, bug-eyed stare, and then just look round. Not that you, as the character, would see this, but he would continue looking at the wall and just shake his head with disappointment, I guess.
Well, thank Golfon. The first thing we found wasn't his underwear.
Well, you don't know. You haven't made that roll yet. So
Oh god.
I cannot believe I'm saying this, but if anybody that wishes to smell the bed to locate the smell, I guess I
too.
Let's
I
all
would.
do it. We don't have any skill in it. We'll do it anyway.
Would that be like survival cunning? Composure?
It depends on how strong the odor is.
That
I
is
know,
true.
right?
I'm just trying to work out what sort of role this would be. I guess this would be some form of. Just for. Let's go for survival and cunning. And I will have this as a moderate difficulty. I'd say a difficulty of 3. I'd say.
Yeah, I'm not doing this. I've got no skill in tracking people.
Okay, we'll see. Oh, okay, that's... So I got a 10 and an 8, so that should be 3.
Yes. I got 1/8, but I also got keen sense and +2 enhancement on smell rolls.
Yeah,
So that's
so
pretty
also
good.
3 essentially.
And what the enhancement means here, dear listeners and watchers, is that you apply... If you compare this to World of Darkness and the Chronicles of Darkness storytelling systems, if you would have a specialty in something, you would add that particular thing to your dice roll. This is a little different here. You would have, in order to apply your enhancement or specialty, you would have to gain a hit or success, and then you can add the things on top, which is a very neat, intuitive idea. I think is rather neat. So remind me, those who were... You were sniffing the bed, Milo.
Yes.
And you got 3 hits. And you got 3 successes as well. But were you not sniffing the bed though?
I guess I'm taking in the aroma as I'm searching around.
Okay, fair enough.
And they call me the uncouth one with all my talk of furnishings.
Yeah, this has taken a very unexpected turn, I have to admit. We'll start with the most interesting of the roles first, with Milo. Can you just describe to me the intensity and the manner in which you are sniffing the bed?
Well, that depends on the bed, actually. Like, if there are any questionable stains, I would probably avoid to go very close to them. But like probably mostly the pillow.
Well, fortunately for you, there are no questionable stains that would suggest certain activities or accidents. But the sort of the general smell, and likewise with you, just admiring the odour, as it were, you're able to locate and find that it's quite musky and sweaty, and it's not like I don't know if stell's the right word, but it's clearly just sort of been lingering in the air for a little bit. Like, there's a lack of windows in this place, for one thing, and by the pillow side, again, you're able just to locate these smells of this sweat. So either somebody, through your successes, you're able to kind of guess or hesitate that they were either under a lot of stress or really flustered of something, or ill. But as I have forgotten your character's name, and I'm terribly sorry.
Me?
Kim, yes.
Noki.
Noki, right. You're actually investigating the room proper. Were you as well, Emerald, or were you just like taking a step back from this?
I'm quite prepared to. I'm looking through physical things. I'm not sniffing at sweat stains and the smells of fear and illness. The idea of I'm not unintelligent, but I do have some standards. And burying my nose in a missing Darv's bedspread is beyond that standard.
Well, that is good to know and somewhat surprising. To the actual investigators, I suppose we can now do a... What am I looking for? I guess enigmas and cunning or intellect, whichever one of those is higher for you. And
No, yeah, I can do that to look through some of the physical belongings here, and hopefully, if we can find some physical evidence, and we have the odor, that makes for a nice pairing, doesn't it? Like the right wine with the right cheese.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it
Although
doesn't
I
smell like blood or sick, so that helps. Give
Yeah.
us some sort of disposition.
I was thinking more of a tracker dog sort of thing, but I'm glad the writers among us were able to have more eloquent ways of putting it.
Yeah, I only got 1-8.
Oh, I got 5 hits.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm guessing I would hope that means I find a decent piece of evidence.
I would say so as well. Well, we'll start with the Nico's smaller success pool. You're able to find amongst the floor. You're all able to see this, that there's lots of various papers and whatnot that have various scratchings out and whatnot. You know, someone's clearly been making lots of notes here and doing some sort of research or something. But with your one success, you're able to find what you feel by holding this bit of paper, just part of a map by the looks of it. With you, Emerald, you're able to find the rest of those pieces of the map. And whilst you're looking under a desk tucked away behind the back of something, you find a little green stone statue sort of thing. A very crudely crafted thing with a... Well, it doesn't take much to work out that what's represented on this like green pedestal out of stone is a spider. And when you all put the maps... And when you put all the map pieces together, it points a very crude map towards the entrance or exit of Niles Knee and directs you to where you think is about half a day's trek to some cave somewhere.
Now, bringing everyone over to this. Now, this is interesting, isn't it? Because this place looks like it's been destroyed. So that would imply he left either in a frantic hurry, or wanted to destroy his trail, or he was kidnapped. So that doesn't help. That's all I've got.
He didn't feel well when he left. I don't know why, if it's physical, mental, or emotionally, but he wasn't well. Is that a map there?
Yes, and a jade or emerald. I've not got my little monocle out yet. Spyder.
Well, we have a lead. And typically when we have spider things like this, it's either it's probably someone's worshiping it or it's a nest, which means fun things.
Or it means a trove of spider idols.
It's full of spiders?
I'm looking on the bright side. Look, we have here what is... If this is an idol, and it looks like one, I suppose it could be a fancy statuette that someone's designed for jewellery. But let's assume it's a thing of worship. I'm getting quite animated now. Then...
Is that said in or out of character?
I'll say in character. I'm getting quite animated now. Then, well, yes, we might find some temple to a spider god, which sounds amazing.
I agree.
But also, if we do, we will find lots of these things, lots of these idols in it, and there are all kinds of faiths that pay well for this kind of thing. Not to mention the Company of Artificers loves getting hold of this just to reappropriate them for parts.
Well, maybe this helps. And Milo gets out of his bag like a huge map of the area that is tattooed into skin of questionable
Oh.
origin. Maybe we can compare
Nice.
this and see what is near there and what might be an obstacle on the way.
You got that out of your pack, did you?
Mm.
Is that your skin?
Do you want to really know?
Well, are we
Yes,
at risk
actually,
of being
that's
skinned?
It's not my
That's
skin.
fascinating.
It's not your. Oh well, wonderful.
Let's say it's acquired.
Just make
Well.
sure your skin's not appropriate for map making. You'll be fine.
I'll
But-
scribble all over it. To,
But maybe at this trove cave or whatever, there's other lost travelers that need escorting home, or other fun things that are lying around because they don't need them anymore.
I would be
But-
very interested to find out why he left in such a state.
Well, we could ask the chieftain again to see if he knows what's going on, or we could go straight there. I'm up for killing things.
I think we head straight there. For some reason, I don't think Boob likes us much.
I also don't think he has been kidnapped because they would probably have taken the map and not destroyed it and left it here.
Unless he knew someone was coming for him and ripped the map up first, scattered it around because we found it in pieces, and then was snatched and whisked away via the dark or the obscure or some other strange phenomenon. Either way, I'm excited. I want to know what the truth is. We've got a trail. We have his scent. Gods help us, and we have a map. Let's pursue
All the
the
best
trail.
things.
I'm gonna put my hand. I'll step outside, put my hand on the guard's shoulder. Excuse me.
He startled a little bit because he wasn't quite expecting that. What is it?
The three of us are going to be heading off now, so you can let Bubo know that we will be back with his brother in one piece or more. I can't guarantee that, but we'll find where he went. I'm sure of it.
That's good to know, and I'll escort the three of you out. Just procedure and all.
Maybe you should get someone to wash those bed sheets. He might have been ill, and we don't want any illness spreading in the settlement.
That's good to know. Thank you very much for your diligent service.
If we could only bring back one piece, what piece would he want?
You would have to ask Boba that.
Let's not.
Isn't it usually the hat they want?
The head?
I think if you bring back any other piece, it's seen as an insult.
Yes,
If you, yeah, that all we could find was his junk.
It's not Fortress after all.
Yes, well, indeed. Spent many a happy season in Fortress. Let's
Very interesting company.
let's go, shall we?
Yes.
So the guard escorts you back out with equally confused faces as before. I feel this is a running theme with this. You're escorted back into the ground hall, and Boba, who is not sitting on his chair, it looks like he's gotten up for a bit of a stretch. He sees the four of you, returns and, "Did you find anything?"
Oh yes, we have a trail and we're about to follow it.
"Ah, good. I'm glad you got some use after all then." And then he walks off carrying on about his business as the guard continues to escort you out of the palace halls and into Nalsny proper, which is very busy. Everyone's working, the man, women, children and everything else in between. It's just always working away at the smelters or something like that. Very physical, hard labouring place, or at least that's how I interpret it. It's just busy non-stop. There's just the clattering of smithies wherever you go. There's little time for leisure, just working and just bolstering up the defences, and whilst maintaining a general good content line, so there isn't any moving negative, so to speak. But when you're left out, the guard turns round and returns back to his station within the palace halls with a large clamming of the doors behind you that sort of resonates up the building as if the castle itself is acting as some sort of resonator. So out in the big, wide, enclosed world, as it were, what are your actions now?
So, team, what tools do we actually have for this? We have a map in pieces. We have the scent, don't lose that.
I'm trying.
I have a pickaxe. And I have some mining tools. How about you?
I have my sword. I have my armor. And some other stuff that will not help.
That's fine.
I have a slingshot and a foraging knife, and I'm good with finding supplies.
Well, that sounds like we're about as ready as we're ever going to be. Make sure the hunter, Noki, is at the front because seems to be the only one with armor.
Yeah.
So the idea now that you're going to head straight there now.
Yeah. Well, unless is there is the Union of Cartographers and Stratigraphers present in Gnarl's Knee, knowing that not every guild has a house in every single settlement?
That is a good question. Odds or evens?
Oh, I'll go for evens. Evens are good.
There are.
Okay. Are any of us member of that guild, Cartographers and Stratigraphers?
No, I'm part of the Explorers Collective.
Well, I'm hoping that the Cartographers and Stratigraphers may know what is in this area on the map. Assuming, Jack, that this is a place none of us have been to before.
You don't immediately recognise it because there was Milo with their skin map to their person.
Well, I'm hoping we can use that as some kind of enhancement. If we go to the Union and say, we're looking to go here on this threadbare map, we want to compare this map to this skin map, can you tell us if of any known dangers on this route? Essentially, preparing the way.
Sure. So how would you like to go about doing that then?
I blithely wander up because that's my MO. Good day, I say, if there's any cartographers in the outside busy inking their own skins and parchments. Would I be able to speak to a cartographer who knows the tunnels around Gnarl's Knee? Not just a map maker. You understand, an actual an individual who actually codifies these things. Or come to think of it, the Explorers Collective may have been a better place. Anyway, I'm going for you folks because I know that you're the best at this kind of thing.
You speak to somebody who's all wrapped up in robes and cloths, who's covering most of their face. So they stand, and you realise they've got a bit of a point to their veil, as it were, suggesting it's one of the rat-kin folk. So it shuffles along forward, leans closely. You're speaking to one of them.
Oh, that's glorious. Golfon be praised. You see, my friend here, pointing at Milo, or gesturing,
already going for the map,
has a wonderful skin map. We're not donating. I have these pieces of crude map, as well as my own crude map, but I don't think my own crude map is going to help here. And I was hoping that if we compare the two, your knowledge will tell us hopefully you're familiar with the area, basically. You can tell us if there's any gribblies waiting for us in the tunnels.
Place the maps on the counter and I will look over them for you.
Oh, thank you.
Milo lays down the map and says, "This is Gordo. Please be careful with him."
He has a name.
Yes.
I shan't question, but I will treat him as one of my own. Sort of picks up the pieces and shuffles them together and compares it to Gordo, just sort of looking, squinting, comparing, contrasting. Might I ask, what is it that you're looking for exactly?
Well, see, this place on the map that we're heading to, the crude one, the one that's in pieces, we're trying to get there. I can't match that. I'm not a cartographer myself. I can't match this crude map to the skin map, but I believe it is the same area. Maybe the skin map's older. I was hoping perhaps you could tell us where this is on the better map. And maybe even if you can't tell us the threats that are around that area, maybe Gordo's living record can.
No, it is fine. I was just wanting to clarify. Sometimes the clientele doesn't know what they ask, but at least that you do, so that is something indeed.
Oh, we're experts.
Yes, I'm sure you are. And with a very fine finger sort of gestures, this is roughly the area here. On Segordo here, that's roughly where that links up. To my knowledge, there isn't any particular wildlife that occupies the space, although I will warn you that roughly at this point, and points roughly halfway down the map, there's a bit, if you go exactly how the map is written, there is quite the steep drop, so you may want to take necessary equipment to make the slow descent, and then you cross over here where there's a little stream, and then up a little bit here, and then hopefully you will find whatever it is that you're looking for. I believe there is a huge crack in the wall, which is roughly where you'll find it is what you're looking for.
That is ever so helpful. You know, people say you Unioners are so stuck up and insular, full of yourself. That's what they say. Arrogant, even.
Emerald.
Emerald, it's thank you so much. We will go acquire some climbing equipment, and thank you.
You're very welcome.
Let you know if we find anything.
That'd be good to know. Sort of squinting at Emerald, sitting back down, working away what they were previously. Definitely not contemplating their life decisions at that point.
Don't worry, I never do.
So, off you go. I guess, for the lack of the better phrase, the settlement market was always bustling with trade of different ancestries, of sizes, colours, creeds, and everything else in between. Just arguments, general conversation, drinker, laughter, people peddling food, waters, drinks. But of course, you're not here for all the social stuff. You're wanting here to go and exploring. And sure enough, there is somebody on a wagon and some sort of quadrupedal creature, like carting things along. And it does seem that as he's calling out, trying to get people to buy his wares, he has the equipment that you're looking for. That's absolutely fair. Well, if you have nothing worth to part, that's fine. You're able to make the exchanges, whatnot. Probably tries to make you to pay a bit too much for it, but you're able just to keep the price at a more substantial level, purely because that you are outnumbered. Well, he is outnumbered, rather. But yeah, with that very small exchange, you are able to get what you need and begin your journey, as it were.
Goodbye, Niles Knee. Hopefully we will return soon. Golfon be willing.
There's a parent with their kids and some kid just shouts, "Bye-bye!"
See, the faceless answers when I call to him.
So, to that end, could I have everybody roll for me a... The layout is somewhat different to what I'm used to, so apologies. I guess survival and cunning. I'm going to make this difficulty 2 with a complication of 3.
Oh dear.
Damn.
That's a major complication. Alright, well, we have 3 momentum right now. Actually, no, I failed my roll earlier, didn't I? So we should have 4 momentum as a group. So I'll just remember.
Nice.
I'm noting that down.
Thank you.
Which is just as well, because I did fail completely. I got a complete failure. Disaster, one might say. In this roll.
I have 4 hits.
I have 1
Cool.
hit.
I think I'm going to spend some momentum, if I may, if the group is happy for me to do so.
Yes.
Yes.
So I can spend 2 momentum to change a failure into a success, or a success with consequences if there's a complication. I am going to do that very thing if you're okay with me halving the momentum pool from 4 to 2.
Good with that.
Alright, I don't want to be falling down a ravine this early in our adventure. Okay, so I've still got the complication affecting me, as I imagine Milo does as well, but at least I'm not dead.
Fair. Well, at this point, before you reach the, I guess, landmark, what happens at this point, Nico? You are able to highlight that as you're trudging along, a group of three, I guess, a lack on a better phrase, on horseback, are charging at you, and you are able to alert the other two if you so wish to.
Yeah, I'm gonna alert them that there are 3 people riding towards us.
Mounted bugs.
The Bug Cavalry.
Yes. Well, I'm not going to start questioning. Oh, do they look friendly? I'll assume this is a warning and try and duck behind a boulder.
Yeah, I'd also like to get out of the way.
Sure.
Boulder, as they would say in Devon.
Is this purely just to get out the way or to avoid yourself being seen?
Oh, well, both, if I can manage. Hopefully just to duck behind a sizable enough rock that they don't see me, and I hide from them. But if I can only do one...
Well, if it wasn't for the aforementioned success, you wouldn't be able to have that opportunity. But because you do, I will allow that.
Well, I suppose I didn't buy off the complication. So if you want, I can be seen running. But I'll make an athletics and dexterity roll to, again, not my forte really, to see if I can jump behind a rock.
Sure, if anybody would just like to hide behind a boulder or some apt descriptor, given the timing that you had, I will say, yeah, we'll do the standard difficulty of 1 with the complication of 2. Obviously, not meeting that, you'll be seen in some capacity.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to roll us again? I'm sorry.
That's all right. Difficulty of 1.
Yeah,
For
athletics and dex.
Yes, sorry.
Thank
Beg your
you.
pardon.
That's
All
all
good.
right. Wow, my rolls stink.
You might need to get new dice. Dice
No,
jail
this
time.
is a dice app, so I've got no excuse.
Oh no. The algorithm's against you. Okay, so I have 3 hits.
I have 2 hits.
I have no hits, and so I will increase the momentum. I'm not spending another one here. So I will instead, I guess, on a failure, put my hands up in greeting and surrender while my companions hide. Hopefully, if I draw the attention of these potential, I don't know, raiding bug riders, my 2 companions might be able to come in from the sides. You never know. But they could just be friendly moths. They may be merchants riding R3 on the way to Nalsney, so let's see.
Well, unfortunately, it is not your lucky day, because that's exact what your first guess was that what they were. They were charging at you. There's 3 of them, just spinning around you on these weird bug-like steeds, as it were. And one of them starts shouting, "Hand over all your belongings. They belong to us now."
I don't really have any.
How truthful of a statement that is.
Well, yes. I don't have anything of worth. I'm not worth anything, really. Except in the eyes of Golthon. My parents never loved me. And my settlement didn't even want me. Which is why I'm here. I'm from Erahulk, you know. I've travelled a very long way. I'm not attempting fast talk. Again, socially absolutely incapable. Not stupid. I'm aware of the threat. I just don't know how to socially pacify a situation like this.
That's fair, but they may take, not pity, because I don't think pity is in these individuals' hearts. They may just...
No.
So, are you able...
but what I can do is this. Oh, I do have this Chaos Rock. Would you like this?
What's the intention here? Are you just like trying to offer them that as payment, so to speak?
I have a thesis called Boom.
Oh dear.
Okay.
So the
It's going
thesis...
to explode.
Yes, the thesis is described as follows. Your experience making explosives has taught you how to identify and use Chaos Rocks to destructive ends. With this thesis, you can use Chaos Rocks as ranged or close combat weapons with an explosive. One use effect with the Flaming and Chaos Touch tags. Chaos Touch tends to penetrate most armors, importantly. These detonations only affect individuals at close range. So, in other words, if one of them sidles up to me on their bug mount, that's when I go, crack, throw it on the ground, and
Make a
hopefully
run for it.
explode it underneath the bug. Yeah, I don't know what my companions are thinking, but with all my blather, I was hoping they'd run out to help me. It seems they've just fucked off. Which,
No, I'll run
sadly,
out.
in the case of
No.
Emerald in Clay, isn't the first time in her
No,
life.
we would,
No, I'll
we
run
would
out to
never.
help.
Someone get out the
No,
violins for this
wait,
poor elfkin.
If our two characters would hide close together, is that applicable here, Mr. Story Guide?
To what, sorry? I'd say you'd be
Um,
able to hear the exchange behind a
No,
rock.
Yeah, but also that I forgot your character name again, and I'm very sorry, Kim.
Oh, it's fine. It's Noki.
Noki. If Noki and Milo, did they hide close together from this threat, or?
Yeah, she's just hiding enough so she can jump out to stab.
Yeah, but because if Noki is near enough, Milo would hand her a small flask, so to say.
Oh dear.
It's a weapon oil. Use it if you need it.
A what?
A weapon oil.
A weapon oil. Oh, okay.
It's venomous. Use it if you
Ah,
might need it.
okay. That saves me some issues. But yes, we'll I will use this. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Don't make my sword more deadly at all. Thank you.
So
Well,
returning.
hopefully, so here's my plan, gang. I mean, it's a thoroughly chaotic one, which is appropriate for the setting. Hopefully, if I throw the Chaos Rock, some of them will go galloping out of control. You know how easily bugs scare, and they might gallop in the direction of where you can go, yeah, and stab out with your sword. That means we might take out one with the explosive, one with the sword, and I think there were only 3 to begin with, weren't there? So that if all goes to plan, I mean, there's no reason why it should, but other than Golfon's grace.
Well, one of them, when you offer them the rock, whatever that may look like, what does that look like for you?
So chaos in the world below typically exudes a violet, an ultraviolet, if you like, quality. And so chaos rocks tend to be roughly hewn diamond or crystal or quartz like, tend to fit in your hand. They do come in many sizes, but the normal ones get chipped off and carried around like small bludgeons or grenades. So yeah, you could use it to stove in someone's head if you wanted. You could use it to lob it like a bomb, or you could use it to enhance your sorceries. In my case, I'm going for the bomb option. So it looks like an egg, a sort of crystalline egg that gives off a violet hue.
Well, one of the riders has taken an interest and carefully hops off his bug creature and is approaching you to investigate said egg.
Damn, I was hoping he'd remain on said bug, but that's all right. If I explode it between him and the bug, we might do all right. Okay, here, catch.
All right, so that I guess would be a
Ranged combat and dexterity, I think.
yes.
Again,
is that
I'm not really.
Sorry, is that a contested pull as he's attempting to catch it?
No, I'm not. Well, he may be trying to. I'm not actually throwing it to his hands. I said catch, but I'm more or less throwing it at the ground between him and the bug, so that he has to turn around and then get blasted in the face.
Just wanted to check.
Yeah. So, but if he wants to try and catch it and just think I'm an awful throw, he can if he wants. I would be rolling ranged combat and dexterity, and wahoo! I have got 4 hits, which is pretty good because I've got no dots in ranged combat. I've got 3 in dexterity, however, and with that, I have managed 4 hits.
Well, this is what happens when you say catch. You throw it. The alarmed rider, now unridden, so the unridden, I guess, it does attempt to catch it, but you do it in such a way that it completely throws them off guard, and it hits onto the ground where you expect it to. and there's this explosion that sort of knocks everybody, including yourself, around you onto the ground. But it's enough to... One of the bug creatures is kind of, well, pretty much dead. The two... One runs off with their rider sort of attached to it, head bumping along the ground as they're going on. And then it leaves one bug creature that runs off by itself and the one remaining rider who's appears to be unconscious or very much out of it. So if you wish to make an escape, now would be a pretty good time to do so.
Oh, I think we have an opportunity here. Noki, tie him up!
Okay. Steal his bug.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, he was trying to rob us, so I guess we can.
Well, this
the favor.
R3 is dead, but we could harvest it for materials. And I know that may sound utterly uncouth, but as an alchemist, well, and as a hunter, I'm sure you know the value that these colossal stag beetles carry. It's a good start. But let's tie him to a rock first. Maybe throw it in the stream.
And if you wanted the live one, you could always attempt to run after it if you wished.
Oh, yeah, who needs a live bug, really? I can't ride.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Tie him up, steal his stuff, and then go butcher some bugs, I guess.
So we should... Sorry, you first.
Are any of us at all, to metagame for a moment, are any of us at all good at social skills? Do we have persuasion or manipulation in this group? Because I do not.
I have the base attributes, but not the skills.
Yeah. Milo?
I have 1 persuasion and 1 map.
Excellent! You're the man for the job. So I just think it might be smart to find out where this person came from, in case we stumble upon an entire camp of them, but more importantly, whether they encountered our quarry, our Darwin friend, was it Arthur? Or
Argtha.
It was so long ago now. I've almost forgotten why we were here. Why here?
Oh yes, we're looking for someone, right?
Yes.
I think so. You've still got his smell, haven't you?
Yeah. Noki is intimidating, but she doesn't have any persuasion other than Gur.
You do have a poisonous sword, though, now, so...
Yes.
Now that's intimidating. Mm-hmm. Let's see if we can wake him up. Slap, slap, slap.
What? He's all realising his predicament, all tied up, said, "Oh, fuck me."
Golfon be praised. You are not completely dead.
Not yet. There's still time.
Listen, I'm no good at interrogations or torture or anything like that, so I'm going to hand you over to my friend here, who is really good at those things.
Oh, lucky me.
I'll walk off.
You can be bad at torture, it just takes longer.
The bandit, I guess, or like for better words, gulps loudly. What do you want?
Does he have any visible wounds or something?
Oh, he's bruised up. Like it's bruising on his face.
Is his legs hurt or something?
You're unable to tell, given that he's clothed. You could stamp on it and find out how hurt it would be.
Milo would just probe with his foot if it hurts, if he slightly kicks it.
What are you doing?
So did that hurt, yes?
Yeah, a bit. Knocked me off my bug.
Okay, Milo's just sitting down on the leg.
Ah!
Yes. I bet you would like that healed, right?
Yeah, but I don't think you're gonna do it.
You could tell us some valuable information and maybe I'll look into it. I'm good with healing.
What do you want to know?
Really bad.
What do you want to know?
And we'll ask her questions and you too, Rica.
Yeah. All I was thinking is our person we're hunting, and if there's a raiders camp or something like that. Anyway, I'll leave it to you. Remember, the eyes are nice and soft.
So, where are you from? Do you have a camp or something?
Yeah, all the way over there. And he like nods in the general direction, which is the complete opposite direction where you're meant to be going. So you imagine like Narsni like there, you've been walking sort of that way. He's nodding the opposite direction.
And are more of your people on the way?
Nah, we just went out just picking off a bunch of nobodies for a quick coin, and well, you lot seemed accessible. Guess
Well,
we'll
that's rude.
Yeah, Milo is getting up a bit and like slamming down on the knee. So,
The leg drop.
fucking hell.
yeah, watch your mouth. Have you seen like someone with what was it? A glorious crimson beard, maybe?
Yeah.
No,
Are you sure?
positive. I swear, my mum.
Yeah, I don't know your mother, so I don't know how important that really is.
I
Oh,
swear.
I thought of something intimidating I could say.
Okay.
Blithely walk over again. We could give you a glorious crimson beard. Anyway, I'll leave you to it.
That was actually pretty good.
Oh, thank you.
He looks more confused and concerned, which is an interesting facial expression, I have to admit.
So, any questions you have? Milo would look over Miko.
So, supposedly over there's like a cave, and is there like a spider god cult thing nearby, or?
I don't know shit. Look, we're just travelling around just picking off people for money and selling it on.
Oh well, I guess we thought you might be useful and might be worthwhile leaving alive, but I guess not.
No, not
Yeah,
really. I'm
yeah.
pretty low down in the pecking order.
Yeah, you also don't seem like a good person. I'm not sure if you deserve like to have me heal you.
Sort of like looks down, all beaten up, mentally, emotionally, and physically. I don't know either. I didn't choose to have this life. Just sort
I
of,
never wanted to be a
Emotional damage.
I wanted to be a lumberjack.
Oh shoot.
Yeah, Milo gets up, like pats him on the shoulder, and like time heals all wounds, and just goes off to Emerald.
That must be some. As I'll wander off in the same direction as Milo, carry on harvesting the bug for parts. That must be the most pathetic raider I've ever encountered.
Yes.
Please don't leave me here.
It reminds me of me. Don't worry, someone will follow this path, I say with a smile, or the bugs will get you. One or the other.
Maybe someone will look for you. Maybe.
Oh, fuck this.
Noki will at least knock him out.
Oh,
So
that's
he-
good.
You interrupt mid-moaning and life contemplation with a quick thump to the jaw or whatever. He's out for the count once more.
I give Noki a thumbs up. That's good. That means if something decides to eat him alive, he'll wake up halfway through instead of having to endure the entire thing.
Hey, we can leave him tied up, make it easier for the thing,
Yes,
or
Oh, I'm
do you want bait?
Golfon wouldn't approve of this. Now that he's knocked out, let's untie him. He's not got a mount anymore. He's got to walk back wherever he's going.
If he can walk, that is. But yes.
He'll hop.
Oh,
Did
cruel.
you break? Is he actually broken, or just
He's-
a sore leg?
He's probably broken something now with all the aggressive sitting, for lack of a better phrase. Yeah,
If this party's good at anything, it's sitting.
Yes. On thrones, on legs.
Do you have any healing ability, or do you want me to just use some medicine on him, Milo? What are you thinking?
I'm willing to like do something for that broken leg. So at least
That
he
you
can get back
caused.
to- Yes. we can't be sure, but yes.
So
Yes,
what?
I would like to look at the leg and maybe make some makeshift cast or something necessary.
Out of
Well, we
some,
do have bug legs.
it's all like glued together, kind of like a makeshift cast sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it sets in
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
Yes.
Delicious.
And hopefully doesn't weld him to the cave floor.
Just made out of bug guts.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Just wait till
Keratin.
someone thinks, what the hell have they done to me? Wrapping me in an effigy of bug parts. Just making it a tastier meal.
I guess that would be a medicine and cunning, given the circumstances.
It's arguable whether it's medicine at this point, but yeah.
It is. I'm trying to treat his wounds here. So I got 4 hits. I get a +1 enhancement to medicine actions, and I get a +3 enhancement on diagnosis and treating wounds. So that would be all in all, if I'm not mistaken.
Milo's got it.
Sorry?
So 8 all in all.
Alright. So that's a lot of... Yeah, you are very much in the zone at this point, looking at the now broken leg that you kind of caused or contributed to. I'm trying to be fair here. And with a combination of bug legs, bug goo, and whatever materials you have to hand, you're able to set the leg so it's very much in place. So that when he comes through, at least, he'll know that the ones that he attacked originally spared him, and hopefully he'll take himself off to rethink his life path.
I mean, yeah, you never know. This may be the kind of thing that can reform a raider. That can think, they could have left me, they could have killed me, but instead they set my leg and set me on the path to becoming a born-again faceless of Golthon.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Milo will probably just leave a note like, take the second chance, buddy.
Have you heard the good news?
Maybe he'll convert to Fortuna at this point. Who knows?
Well, we can discuss that on the way.
I imagine that would be quite a heated discussion as you carry on trekking through, feeling...
Considering she's Hades track, so...
Oh. Listen, one of my short-term aspirations on my character is heal another character's injury, so I could have gained an experience point there, but I didn't. So I'm banking on one of the two of you getting injured at some point.
Well,
And if it doesn't happen naturally, I will make it happen.
Wonderful. Well, it's also my short term, so I would gain experience point here.
Well, kudos. But alas, this is a one-shot, so you gain nothing other than good memories. Anywho, you carry along in your trek, this very bizarre trek, I have to say. Then again, the entire adventure has been very bizarre so far, but I love and live for it. And eventually you arrive at the steep drop and the stream that runs below, and it will require some very precarious navigating down. But of course, on the other side, you do see up against, I guess for lack of a better, the wall edge, a crack that runs down this rock, where it is notably larger at the bottom. So it's kind of like a triangle sort of thing that goes up, as cracks tend to do.
So before we go down, I'd like to kind of scout ahead. I would like to use my... We're called these theses now.
Theses?
Actually, no,
There's theses and syntheses.
This is a synthesis. So I'd like to use my synthesis, Living Shadow. So once per session, I can detach my shadow and my corporeal essence from each other. So I can move my shadow up to long range to scout ahead. So it can't really do... It's like the shadow has no thickness or mass and is unable to impact its surroundings, but it can be sent into areas with shadows and darkness to learn the location of things and people. It can't hear or touch, but it can observe whatever it touches. So
Well, that's ideal for this.
Is there a range limit to that, or is it just as far as you want it to go?
Can move up to long.
Ah, okay. It's very
So
vagueness.
I can move.
So
so I can-
long range is around the length at which someone might be able to shoot a longbow comfortably. So let's say 120 feet or so.
Okay, that's helpful, as I did used to do archery and I can visualise that well. I would say that the said shadow would be able to go over there, and there isn't anything untoward at the moment. It's just that the closer that you do get to this entrance of this cave, crack, whatever, there does seem to be an increase of spider presence. Nothing too huge, but like little things you'd find in the corners of bedrooms or whatnot.
Webbing and
So-
such.
So small spiders, not big spiders.
Presently so, yes. And just out of curiosity, this detaching of one shadow, how does this present itself? Is it kind of like Peter Pan sort of style where it just goes running off on its own, or how does that work out for you?
So it is kind of like that where Noki stops having a shadow. It just kind of detaches. You see the shape of her shadow, and it just kind of disappears into deeper shadow. So she's just kind of standing there, just standing, waiting, as her shadow disappears.
Okay.
While the shadow's off. So do you? I've heard of. This is a thing there with the Plutonic dialectic, is it not? It's amazing to me because, of course, shadows have no substance, so utterly pointless as far as my science goes. But my question is, as it can detach and wander off of its own accord, have you ever had a conversation with it?
It doesn't have a voice.
Can it do sign language?
I
Mimes?
guess, yeah.
Does it ever do those
Sure.
funny mimes like someone caught in a box or?
I guess I could. But I guess it's as much fun as talking to yourself as it can be.
Well, I have a great deal of fun talking to myself, so I imagine that's quite a trip.
But yeah, it's I see whatever it sees, so
And
I
do you?
guess I could use it to signal other people.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you use this opportunity to relay to your compatriots what it sees?
Yeah. So I'm seeing a lot. We're seeing a lot of small spiders running around inside of the crevice. Nothing
Oh.
really profound, but spiders. I expect there to be bigger spiders if there's a spider god idol.
Well,
So-
I still have the idol, so maybe if we encounter something big, I can go, and it will think mistress or not, hopefully blasphemer, which I suppose is also possible. But got to try these things.
Blasphemer, dinner. I'm more worried about the dinner part. But
We are all of us living experiment in this wondrous vast underneath. How can we find answers without taking risks?
if it doesn't eat you, it's a good day.
And if it does, we've learned something.
Are there any vines down there or something that we can maybe use for support when we go about reversing that?
That's a good question. Odds or evens?
Odds. Because I'm an odd person.
I'm glad you made that remark and not me. There are indeed some vines there. Old, rugged, like there might have been plant matter there once, but there are roots there that you can hold on to.
All right, so we can give it a go.
Yes.
Indeed you
Right,
can.
well.
And with your climbing gear, I'd imagine it'll make things a tad easier, hopefully, maybe.
Give
So,
us an enhancement, if nothing else.
and of course, the peril of this, of you not succeeding, this would be quite horrific. So, how about we go for survival and cunning? I think an appropriate difficulty modifier would be 2, and a complication of. Do the complications have to be one high, or can they be at the same as well?
Oh, they can be minor, moderate, or major. So, complication in this case. So let's say it's a difficulty 2 challenge. We've got to get 2 hits to hit the difficulty, as you know. If it's a minor complication, that might be something as simple as if you don't buy it off, you will alert the spiders to your presence. If it's a moderate complication, as you pull the vine, yes, you climb it successfully, a flurry of spiders lands on your face. A major complication is, yes, you climb down the vine successfully. As you get to the bottom of it, it falls, and so do you. So yes, you climb, but it was a loose vine. So you can apply that regardless of the difficulty.
Cool, that's exactly what I thought, and I'm a bit concerned we also had the same mile of thinking. So yeah, difficulty of 2 with a complication of 3.
Oh, good grief.
I only have 2 hits, so
I have 1 hit.
Oh.
I've got 5 hits. Well, I do have 2 in survival and 4 in cunning. I'm alright. Does anyone want to spend momentum? Here.
How much momentum would I need to spend to not fall to my death?
So it was a difficulty 2, wasn't it? And you got 2 hits?
I got 1 hit.
So you'd need to spend 2 momentum to change a failure into a success with consequences in this case. Let's see. Or you could add an enhancement hit to an action on a 1-for-1 basis. Spend momentum after the dice have been rolled, and only if the dice roll has at least 1 hit. So yeah, you could spend momentum to both buy off the difficulty and essentially add an enhancement afterwards. So that would help reduce the complication to moderate, from major to moderate, which might be an option, because right now something bad's going to happen.
Yeah, if that's okay.
I'm happy with it. I like it when we run out of momentum. It compels us to fail at that point.
Wonderful.
yeah, if you want to spend the momentum, I'll take. So you'll at least lessen that on you. I have armor, so you know.
How many hits did you end up with, Kim?
I have 2.
Okay, so yeah, in that case, I get through it with no complication. Milo ends up through it, but with a moderate complication, and Noki ends up through it, but with a major complication. Mm-hmm. So, good luck,
so
you
folks. So I make the climb, but something bad happens to me.
Yeah, and we now have no momentum.
Cool, I think.
I mean, mechanically speaking, not narratively, I feel like we've got lots of momentum.
Yes, I agree.
Interesting talking about lack of momentum and narrative, because all of a sudden 2 of you are actually going to gain a lot of momentum, but not the sort that you want. Emerald, you're able to climb down. It's very steep, very difficult, but you're able to do that. But at different points, the vines that our other 2 are holding on to snap. It was Milo who got the lower of the 6, who has the larger.
Milo ended up with moderate. Noki ended up with major. And I should actually, in fact, I was incorrect. Sorry, Jack. Because we have the climbing gear, and that gives us an enhancement, Milo ends up with a minor complication, and Noki ends up with a moderate complication. So they still have complications, but they're not quite as awful as plunging to their deaths. Just in case you were considering it.
Well, I'm feeling in a generous mood today, and I wouldn't have killed people at such a vital stage, although I have been known to do that before. Oh, I've killed players off this early on into things before just because of their actions. But anyway, I'm feeling generous today. So, respectfully, the order, the ways that you get it round, whilst applying your armor modifiers, whoever got the bigger one takes 1, whoever got the smaller one takes 2. Damage, that is, to their health trackers.
Yeah.
But Emerald, who has had the biggest interesting blunders so far, is the one who manages to get the practical exercise down safely. And
I swing across like Tarzan. I'm fine. I even let out a cry.
I will allow that, just because it's very in character, and you got enough hits to warrant it.
Yes, actually, by the time I get to the other side, I'm wondering where the 2 of you are.
Just because I like to play into this a bit more, just the shits and giggles. How tuneful is this cry going to be?
Oh, I've got a dot in artistry. I can sing in tune, if not well.
Could we go for artistry and presence then, just to see
Oh,
how
for
tuneful
heaven's
it is?
sake. Well, that's a little harsher, given I've only got 1 dot in presence.
Well, it's more than 2 dots, so.
Okay, let's see. Okay, that is 0 successes, so we get a point of momentum back.
Hooray.
0
Also-
hits, I should say.
So your Tarzan-inspired cry is just... Ah!
Yeah, it's more of a scream
Yeah.
It's
or an
probably what
unsettling
got us-
moan.
It's probably what got us to fall down, honestly. just the shock
But
of it.
Well, luckily I have armor on, and I also have endurance, so I have a little bit more health to work with.
Can you please explain how health works here again? Just so I'm up to track.
Do you want me to handle that, Jack?
Sure.
Alright, well, in this case, you just need to put an X in the bloodied section, the bloodied box of your character. And that's it. You've only taken 1 damage from your fall. If Jack wants to apply any status effects on top of it, well, I don't think, he didn't say so. But what can happen, just for the sake of viewers and listeners, is if you have been dealt a tremendous blow, that won't tend to manifest as lots and lots of damage. What it will usually manifest as is status effects like being dazed or stunned or poisoned or on fire or drowning or whatever the case may be. And there's loads of status effects in the game that account for those things. In this case, poor Milo just basically landed hard on his arse at the bottom of a ravine. But there are worse ways to go. Just ask the poor unconscious raider that's being eaten alive right now.
But no, just in case there was any fear, I wasn't going to play anything here. There's just the shame that you have to work through.
Yes.
Yeah, that's not a status effect in game, but to my mind, yes.
And we have like endurance adds an additional injury levels. So I take the injury, it just doesn't affect me right yet because I still have extra boxes. And
Yeah.
that's the same thing with armor. It gives me an extra box, so I'm not like dying. Just yet.
I will call down from the crack now where I'm holding on. Are any of you injured?
No. Everything fine.
Oh, damn.
I've had worse.
I'm looking forward to healing one of you.
Yeah,
Well-
I mean, Milo is saying he's fine, but he's clearly trying to see if his ass is fine or not.
Well,
It
it
broke your ass.
roll dice to determine which arse cheek you've bruised. No.
Odds or evens.
We can go that route if you want.
We don't need to get granular about buttock wounds. I will try and help them, but if I tug on some of these vines, I'm going to try and find the most solid one I can. And once I've figured that out, I will let them know which one to climb up from their position.
Sure. Well, there isn't much of a climb,
You're trying to get
fortunately.
down.
Well, the two of you sort of plummeted down, and Emerald here had kind of said they had reached the other end. So it's just a matter of just crossing the ravine and just basically just stepping underneath of the crack, so you can just sort of walk your way through, albeit in a hunched state presently.
Okay. Well, so pleased that you didn't die, I say.
Thank you.
So
Though I suppose your Hadean beliefs would maintain we already are dead, Noki.
Yeah, pretty much. We just haven't realized it yet.
Then I should ask, and I don't do it to antagonize. I'm merely curious. If we're already dead, why would we be punished in the underworld by breaking our behinds? It seems a wholly unnecessary torture for an afterlife.
Well, I don't know what you did in the life before.
I suppose, yes. Well, I look at Milo with some suspicion.
I have a question for you. If you say we all dead and we haven't realized it yet, wouldn't that mean that you have realized it, and what would that change for you?
Just experience it.
It gives you a greater sense of importance, I suppose.
Acceptance?
Well, I suppose that's fine.
Endure.
You can keep throwing these words at me if you like, Noki. They means nothing to me.
I guess don't go into the light.
Right.
Yeah, like the sun.
Because anything that... I haven't seen the sun, but most things down here that light up like that are trying to eat you.
Well, no, that is true.
Yes.
So if you go towards the light, you'll be eaten because it's a lure for a predator.
Now, I don't think our faiths are necessarily at odds. Yours is more of a philosophy, if I'm correct. Because the Church of Golthon says that we should help people who are in pain, who need aid, and charity, and healing, and your faith says we're all dead. So at the very least, I can make people comfortable in death if what you believe is true. And it doesn't mean you're not going to object, for instance, if I save someone's life because that person's already dead, right?
No.
Good. I just wanted to make sure.
Would they be dead then if they die?
It just goes into the next level.
Oh, there's levels. Like the world below, lots of different strata.
Different strata. We have Lich Kings and stuff like that too. We have the
So
well.
I've heard. And
The
fungal
well and stuff
undead,
like
so
that.
I guess they're on a completely different level.
It just
Very
gets like...
interesting.
I like the
Evolving.
idea that we've just decided to sit down in this crack in the wall and to discuss theology and philosophy. Well,
just
I suppose
staring
we'd
at
best be on.
spiders in the dark.
Yes, we'd best be moving.
So once the three of you have finished discussing philosophy and contemplating life, the universe, and everything thereafter and within, you enter this crevice. And initially, it's dark. Like, very dark. Pitch black darkness. And it's cold. And there's a cold breeze coming from somewhere. It's not from behind you, and you're not entirely too sure if it's from in front of you as well, but it's there. You hear the little scuttering of small things that dart between your legs. You may, on occasion, as you duck and weave your head through these very tight gaps, cobwebs, the indication that there are indeed many of a spider here. Still, at this point, unimpressive in size. But then at some point, you're no longer crouching and giving your future self back problems, but there is a large space that's sort of glowing a very interesting reddish green hue. It's still pretty dark, so unless you have an additional light source, you're unable to make out the features, but you are in some sort of, well, enclosed but open space with this greenish hue, all with a flat ground.
Noki, what did you say again about like the light and not going towards it?
Well, since we do not have a sun, things glow, which is true, but if it's a bright light, it's usually to attract things to it, like prey.
Yes. Do you think this is attracting things?
Well, it's dark. I wouldn't go towards it. I say that's suspicious. So I would say, let's keep going. Unless we want to go fight this thing.
No.
Yeah.
No, Emerald. No.
I'm not suggesting we fight it, but discovery is. For all we know, this is a light that our friend Darv has lit to signal for aid. Listen,
Gondor calls for aid.
I have a synthesis called Cloud Sight that enables me to perceive activities through a chosen element. I'm going to choose the element of darkness, or shadow in this case, and essentially broadcast my senses to that light. I want to see if there's something living there, and basically, depending on how well I roll, I'll get a +2 enhancement to enigmas and survival actions. So let's say enigmas because it's an investigation. So if I do enigmas plus intellect, and try and get a read on what is out there, and if there is anything I can sense, hopefully this +2 enhancement will assist in defining what it is. So that's 8 dice. At last, I'm in my element. I've been waiting for enigmas and science. So let's see. But my dice pool disagrees.
No.
I still get 2 hits. It's 2 hits +2 enhancement to basically project my senses through the shadow, see if I can determine what lives, what exists around this light.
So just to confirm, is that 2 hits plus the enhancement, which makes 4, or is that...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a 4 in total, so it's 2 hits. So depending on what a difficulty to determine, this would be probably only 1 anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, +2 enhancement that I get as a result of this synthesis.
And you're wanting to see what exists within and to determine what's generating this weird hue.
Exactly so, yes.
Oh, right. Well, which one do you want to learn about first?
Oh, yeah, you're the story guy, Jack. You go ahead. I'm happy to be served here.
That's absolutely fine. I was just wanting to check. So the hue is the most perplexing thing, this greeny reddish light, because you are getting the strong impression that it's not one thing or individual, but it's the room itself. As for living entities, which I'm just to correct me on that, that is what this allows you to do, to see what is living and existing here.
Yeah, I'm perceiving through the shadows. So if there is something that I could smell, hear, sense through there, that's what I'm picking up.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure. So yes, but as for living things, in the immediate chamber sort of room that you're in at the moment, there are a couple of odd spiders. Through the darkness, you are able to take, there's a small incline of stairs, and it carries on into a separate room where there are slightly bigger spiders. And when I say slightly bigger, I mean up to your ankle in size. And you're unable to see further beyond that.
In that case, I will report back to my friends. So that I know we don't want to head toward the light based on the Hades tract, but there are stairs in that direction. Large spiders as well, but there is something that has been crafted out of the stone. So we could head deeper into the gloom if we wanted, but we don't know what we'd find. But if we head toward the light, there is a humanoid-made piece of furnishing. Staircase.
Oh, we love furniture.
No,
Were you
I'm
able
not.
to see if it was...
I believe it was hewn from stone. I couldn't tell that well. I don't think it's a wooden staircase, so let's not get carried away. The main issue, other than the bizarreness of this light, its nature, I couldn't discern. There were some arachnida of some kind, about the size of a fist or ankle. So get your stomping boots on, Noki.
Did you smell sweat? Of any kind?
Milo, you are the only person who cares about that.
I mean,
We're-
this whatever his name was again, I don't really care, to be honest. He smells of sweat, so if he's
That
okay-
was something I wasn't looking for. I was more trying to sense the any bug life around. So I can at least tell you the spiders weren't sweating.
I don't think they could if they wanted to be honest.
Oh, I'm sure if they really wanted to, if they put their heart into it, if they just believed, they could squeeze out a drop of sweat or venom.
I'm sure Milo could sniff and snort at the air if they so wished.
Yes, of course. I want to sniff the air.
Cool.
Thank goodness we kept the bloodhound with us.
Yes. What did I make you roll last time? What was it?
I think survival and cunning.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
rings
survival.
Yeah, or it was enigmas and cunning, but either way works.
Yeah, survival and cunning.
Oh
Have a good
damn.
sniff.
Oh.
I do.
Is that
Yes,
good?
it is. I have 3 hits and gain the +2 enhancement, so 5 hits in all.
Ooh.
Ooh. Darv sweat, here we come.
I would abuse that because there's so many things here that you could pick up with the smell. But
Don't try breaking the game at this early
Yes.
juncture.
So with the 5 sniffing hits, can I just ask, because I feel this is a very important detail, how is it do you go about with this sniff? Is it kind of like a dog, like, or is it just a very exaggerated...
Like a cartoon
letter.
Asterix sort of... Yeah, big
Definitely the
nostrils
letter.
quivering.
Yes.
Yes.
We can actually see the wafts of sweat disappearing up them.
Cool. I'm glad we got that bit of personal lore sorted.
Yeah.
With the big exaggerated inhale, the bit of dust and whatever just sort of creeping up through the nostrils, as well as the smell of sweat of Agdva from before is here. Not as strong as it was in his bed. It is more... You can smell the cold. It's a very unusual scent, and there's also the very interesting, unique decay of death that lingers here.
So, what do we do if this guy is dead?
We take his head back to his brother, like we said we would.
Yes. But would it be worth it to almost die ourselves to get this head back?
Well,
But-
he has promised me to consider giving me access to his chair.
but there might be something worthwhile on his body or in.
He
the
did
chair.
come here for a reason, one must assume, after all, and let's not forget. So yes, he must have come here for a reason. He must have been here before. The idol was in his chambers. But the thing that still haunts me is that his living quarters looked like they were in a state of disarray, like an explosion almost. So I almost feel like he was possessed and ran and fled this way because he was either consumed with such avarice or desperation for something, and for some reason never left a note, but took the time to rip the map up so no one else could follow. And now, come to think of it, we are following.
Yes. So I'm pretty sure he's somewhere around here, but so is lots of death.
We're here. Well, I assume the spiders have to eat something. Hopefully, we can encourage them to eat each other and not us.
And spiders, they'll quite happily eat dead flesh over kicking warm flesh. And Milo, that I've encountered many people, especially in Errorhulk, where I hail from, who their deeds award them certain epithets, nicknames, and such. So, for instance, I might be known as Emerald in the Clay the Alchemist. Rather bland, I know, but it would be what I would be. You could be Milo the Sweat Sniffer.
No. Thank you, but no.
And
mean-
yet, so far, you have done that so remarkably.
Thank you, but that's more because I'm interested in plants, and a hobby of mine is making perfume of them. I have a
And-
good nose, one could say.
Noki the nose, the scent.
Well, you're Noki. You can't.
Well.
You can't start stealing Milo's epithet. Well, and so you're seeing this Darv as a potential client to whom you could sell some of your perfumes.
To be honest,
It's smart marketing.
yes, but this smell, I don't think there's a perfume strong enough to hide that.
Well, don't tell him that. I think
I won't.
that
You
won't
just
make
have
a
to
customer
sell him
of
more.
it. That's true. Anyway, if he's being eaten by spiders, we probably shouldn't wait too long.
Yes.
The good news is they often bind their victims first.
True.
Well,
Spider
let's.
silk's pretty worthwhile too. So
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Let's creep toward the light then.
So the three of you
not
walk.
my favorite, but
The three of you walk in a sort of a forward direction, and it doesn't take long for you to go up the stairs to this natural, well, I say natural going place, built into the structure. Can I just ask, who's at the front of the three of you, or are you walking side by side?
I'll be at the front.
Ah, okay. Could you make a roll for me that is athletics and dexterity?
Right, and I have 3 hits.
3 hits. Well, as you're at the front, you're able to realise that the flat, stone, ground terrain before you is not so hard now as it was before. It's a tad squishy. And you're able to locate that there was something that if you weren't on the ball, you would have tripped over.
Is this like a antlion trap where like we walk and we fall into a pit, or what?
Oh, I see. Well, depends. How familiar are they with decomposing bodies?
Pretty sure she's pretty familiar with the decomposing body. So it's that sort of squish. Okay. Okay.
Can we see at all in this light, or would we have to drag the body with us to identify it?
The hue is all around you. It's not like coming from one source. It's like sort of emanating from the room itself. You're able to get the vague impression of a body if you're just like to lean in and squint at it. It's the shadows.
Assuming we have travelled with some light source, otherwise we would be the most incompetent adventurers in a subterranean adventure setting. You know what we forgot? Fire.
Damn it.
I would like to.
We had this conversation about whether or not like dark elementals and like platonics could see in the dark.
Yeah.
Without the gift. We talked about that being silly if they couldn't, but I don't think
and yet they can't, because there is a thesis for that. So that means you have to rely on an artificial light. But assuming we have a sconce or torch or lantern of some kind, I just want. Are you telling us what it is? First of all, Noki. Are you warning us that there's a body we're about to trip over or stand in?
I think I found him. So I say we should probably be using a light of some sort, even if it's just a light glow.
All right. Lighting a little sconce of oil, hold it over, well, one end, and if that's the wrong end, the other end of the body, looking to see if there's a bright crimson beard about the cadaver.
Well, doing so quickly reveals it's not body, but bodies. But the individual that you're holding over, it's a bit difficult to tell because it looks like they've been here for a while. In fact, that can be said quite a lot of the individuals here who have been decomposing and sort of half-eaten at various rates and points.
Mm-hmm.
But from what you can tell from the immediate vicinity around you, doesn't match the description that you were given. A lot of them look quite fresh as well, relatively speaking.
Do they look familiar, the fresher corpses, to any of us? Like, have we seen them at the knee place?
You don't none of you recognise any of the faces here.
Well, what a tragic end for all of them.
Do any of them, of the fresher corpses, still have eyes?
Some do, some don't. And some have more eyes remaining than others. Both whole and partly.
I would like to use on one of them the sorcery Dead Eyes.
I'm sure I can guess what that does, but I'm going to inquire anyway. What does that do?
I can see the final moments before death of a being with eyes.
Okay, does that require any roll, or is that just something that you can do?
Well, I can take you through chaotic sorcery if you like right now,
Yes.
because this is a good time for the listeners and viewers to learn as well.
Go for it.
Alright, so at the top of your sorcery there, it should say whether it is a simple sorcery. I believe it is, Dead Eyes. It will also say to you, it will say your calling, which I believe is, you're a Farsighter, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. And it will have a dice pool next to it, which is empathy and composure. So, using this wisdom, this sorcery, this is called channeling a structured chaos. You're not a chaosist, you're not just pulling chaos from the ether here, you are channeling structured chaos. It's like casting a memorized spell in D&D, if you like. So you roll your dice pool. Now, there are various things that can affect this, namely enhancements and complications. Enhancements that can affect sorceries involve controlled chaotic elements in the scene, such as a chaos rock, a well shrine, if it's here, decanted chaos in a flask, or chaotic objects being sacrificed for the enhancement. We don't have any of them, so we can ignore enhancements. Complications involve distractions, volatile chaotic energies, and the chaos level of the stratum we are on. So, in terms of chaos level, we are in iron, so that means the complication is minor. So you only need to get one hit to succeed, but there is also a complication, so you want to get 2 hits at least to succeed and hit the complication. First of all, have you managed that? And if not, we get a lovely chaotic retaliation.
I have barely managed that with 110, so 2 hits.
Well, in that case, that's enough. That means you hit the difficulty and you buy off the complication. There is no chaotic retaliation. You can then get to the effect of Dead Eyes. So, just to reiterate for the sake of viewers and listeners, I appreciate I'm breaking it down piece by piece. These things can seem quite long-winded. But all you do to cast sorceries in this game is you check the dice pool required. You check to see if there's any chaotic phenomena surrounding you that might give you an enhancement or a complication. Then you roll. Your target difficulty is always 1, but your complication varies depending on how many enhancements and complications you have to bear in this case. So in this case, Milo succeeds with aplomb, even though it doesn't feel like it. And what does the sorcery do, Milo? Have you got the manuscript in front of you?
Yes. I'm looking into the eyes of a dead creature, and I see the final moments the corpse has witnessed before its death. And I see the last scene of the target's life through that. And it's only vision, none of the other senses are involved.
Okay, the last scene in just vision.
This is going to be nice.
Yes, I bet.
What you see, I will say with the number of hits that you get is in, I guess, fragments, but it will last the duration of the scene, if that makes sense. Kind of like a flashback sort of thing, as that's essentially what this is. It starts off with a group of individuals in a circle, hands up and touching. The next thing that you see is an overwhelming swarm of spiders from all conceivable directions, of a greeny, blacky, reddy sort of texture, very unlike anything that you've seen. They've got spear-like legs. And as I said, they're all running about, and these people running about. And the next thing that you see, and the final thing that you see, is that your individual there is strung up high somewhere, looking into the face of a much, much larger spider with its fangs in upwards and sideways motions, taking out bits of its chest before dropping them roughly where you're standing now.
Okay. So, I think we agreed before, like without saying it, that this is a culty thing and that there might be a huge spider involved. And yeah, that's exactly what happened here.
And do you think these people summoned the huge spider, or that it caught them unawares? Were they willing sacrifices?
Was this a consensual consumption?
Are these the people who were like in a circle, or is all the corpses someone else basically? Would I recognize that?
It's a bit difficult to tell from what you saw. But I think it can be assumed that they were attempting to do something and something went wrong. As the first scene that you saw, they were like attempting some sort of thing, the hands up in the air sort of thing. And then the second thing you see, everybody was running around. It was very chaotic.
Well, I've got a question for you, Milo. What a fascinating ability you have access to. Truly, Golthon is benevolent. In your vision, did you see this idol I present from my pack of the sort of jade spider?
Did I see something like that in a glimpse or something?
You can make an assumption that the last spider was what the idol was representing, but there's no concrete way of proving that, of course.
Yes. Milo would take this idol as he hasn't looked at it closely yet. Maybe yes, but 55 times the size and like alive.
Fascinating, wondrous. Imagine the parts that could be harvested from that, Noki.
Yes. I more so saw the parts that got harvested from this poor fellow here, though.
Oh, well, yes, tragic. Utterly tragic. Anyway, let's get on.
So forwards you march, where it was once very, as I said previously, smooth and hard, and the clapping of your foot upon the steps would cause the sound to reverberate, but it's more like a very wet squelching and slopping of body parts and body slop, as it were. You enter the hallway that was described quite a while ago with this with Emerald's ability, and as you enter, there's still this hue of the room. It just seems to be omnipresent. But as you're in a narrow corridor, you see that there are these carvings on the walls either side of you that sort of depicting something, just people and these spiders. And they all seem to be around a central figure or a circle, oval sort of thing. From a glimpse, you do see these larger spiders, but when they see you, they scatter. You're not quite too sure where, because by the time you get to where they are, they're not there anymore. But then you enter another hall, which is not as large as the previous one. The dead bodies are still plentiful, but they're not as decomposing, shall we say. Some of them are more propped up, but clearly dead against the wall. Some are on the ground, and most of them are missing various body parts. And at the very end, you actually find, for the first time during your, about, let's say, 10-minute walk, a moving human in the distance.
Are they moving toward us or away?
Neither. They are hunched over something, moving their arms as they're looking for something on the ground.
Ah, so they're digging through the webbing and bodies, basically.
Potentially. You can't quite see it at the moment.
And they haven't acknowledged us?
Nope.
Let's stay quiet, and let's let Noki handle this. Just in case this is some weird spider person, like a Hemexi or something.
Oh, that'd be fun. Said no one ever. So she is going to quietly make her way over.
Could you now make for me, I guess, a survival and dex, because I can't seem to find a equivalent to stealth.
Larceny can be used for stealth if you're trying to creep up on someone.
Then larceny it is, then stealthily and dexterity, please.
One is a worse pull than the other, but it'll be okay.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to sabotage you, really.
I know. I have one hit.
Okay. Well, that's one more than what I just rolled. But you're able to get up to this figure, which does actually resemble the individual that you're looking for. The impressive crimson beard, the steroid-induced arm, but not as thick as Bob from before. But he's there. Just how close are you wanting to get?
I guess. Well, if he's sweating really bad, I guess saying getting close enough to smell him is, if he has like this aura around him that says, I'm close enough, I can tell he's breathing. He's sweating, so he's alive.
I'd like to point out at this time that at no point at the beginning of the adventure did Jack ever stress that our quarry is a very sweaty dove. We ended up coming to that conclusion and making it. And now all this poor bastard we remembered for is his dreadful body odor.
And his wonderful
And his
red
crimson
beard.
beard, yes.
This, to be fair, this is very stressful. So, like, fear sweat, I get it. It's like giant spiders everywhere, and they're gonna eat you if you fuck this up.
Yeah, no shame, no shame.
No.
Except,
no shame.
except,
You can
except for the shame.
Well, fortunately for you, you can't. Well, I don't know. Depending. Well, fortunately or unfortunately, I'll let you decide. You do not smell any of the manly Darwin sweat, but he doesn't seem to notice you. And you're standing right next to him, and he's still just hunched over, picking away at something on the ground, but it doesn't seem to be doing anything.
So I'm gonna try to see what he's looking at without leaning too far over, so I don't accidentally stab him.
Sure. As you begin to lean over, the head just spins round far too quickly for something that belongs to anything humanoid.
Okay, we're just bringing back the head. Got it.
That's your reaction.
Solve my quadri.
Okay.
Yep.
As that happens, and you take perhaps a couple moments too long to work out what's going on, something snatches the body away, like it's just been pulled on some strings behind it, very marionette-like. And from the darkness, now, is a great big, fucking huge spider, which you, Milo, recognise from your vision from not long ago. It's a huge
Found
fucker.
You don't say!
And Agdvar is attached to one of its legs at this point, which is deliberately it's holding up in the air, walking around on its other legs. So,
Does it seem like he's still alive there, or does he just look like a body now? Like a dead body?
oh, he's dead. Like, the leg is through him.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay, good.
typically I'm the optimist. But, you know, it's a valid question, nonetheless.
Now,
Definitely.
assuming that
Alright.
assuming that we're entering combat, I guess this would mean we would enter initiative.
It would indeed, if that is what we intend to do. Are people entering combat? Is this thing hostile toward us?
Well, it's slowly walking towards you, and it's hissing loudly with this very menacing. Its fangs, which the two of you now see for the first time, its massive head. The head's about the size of the body it's just picked up, with fangs with top and bottom, side to side. This spittle, just flailing wildly.
All right. So to determine initiative, each player forms a dice pool for their character, using the higher of either athletics plus cunning or empathy plus dexterity. The story guide forms a dice pool for each of the story guide characters using their stated initiative number. So, as an example, I have an athletics plus cunning of 4. I have an empathy plus dexterity of 3. So I'll be rolling 4 dice for this. Alright, well, I get 1 hit.
I have 2 hits.
I have 3 hits.
Big Spyder McGee got no hits.
Oh.
Alright. So everyone compares hits, and the person with the highest number goes first in the round. So that sounds like Milo. Taking the spotlight. After that character has taken their action, that player chooses a character to go next. They may choose anyone who hasn't yet acted. Could be one of us, could be the story guide character. Play continues until all characters have had their chance to act in the round. Now, I'll say, from a design perspective, the reason for this is, while it may always seem logical to put the enemy at the back, it basically means the enemy can respond to everything you've done. So sometimes it makes sense to put them in the middle, sometimes it makes sense to make them go first and basically use their action, and us respond to that. So where the order we choose can alter the play, if you like.
Stole the words right out my mouth. Almost word for word.
Oh, I actually stole them from the manuscript. So I think I know where you stole yours. Oh, good God, a cat has just materialized. The giant spider turned into a feline. Your adventure ends here.
Exactly. Okay, so I would like to use my gutsling and stone bullets, which are very carefully chosen before all this adventure, so they are actually piercing.
Ooh.
Piercing.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
In that case, I would need you to roll at a difficulty which is the creature's defense, which is 2.
What exactly do I need to roll again?
Ranged combat and...
Dexterity or might.
Yes, as they're bullets, as they're shooting things, it would be ranged combat plus dexterity.
Yes, okay, thank you. I got 3 hits.
3 hits, and you're using a weapon that gives you an automatic enhancement, and that weapon is piercing. So just again, for the sake of listeners and viewers, the piercing tag, as written, this weapon cuts through non-magical armor or exploits weak points. After a successful attack on an opponent in non-chaos forged armor, we don't know, this spider could be chaos forged, in which case we're all fucked. Deal damage directly to health and reduce the target's armor rating by 1. Now, Jack already said that the defense, I think, was 2 on this.
Yes.
And does the creature also have armor on top of that?
It does not. Its chitin is very fleshy, and the bullets do go through, and a bit of goo flips off, I guess.
Okay. All right. So yeah, that means your bullet, penetrates. So back to you, Jack. Sorry to commandeer. I'm just doing the narrative for people who want to know about the rules.
That's absolutely fine, and quite frankly, you are the best person to take the reins, as it were.
I know how both of us love combat.
Oh, yes. But oddly enough, the world below, as we were saying not too long ago, is a lot more streamlined because there's just damage. There isn't different types of damage. So tell me about that gun of yours, the damage modifier and the amount of damage that it deals.
damage modifier right now.
Well, I will hove in again here, because every weapon in this game does a flat 1 damage. Doesn't matter what it is, it will always do 1 damage. However, any enhancements you have, or additional hits beyond the target difficulty, plus enhancements, can be used to purchase tricks. Combat tricks, such as from a weapon like this. So let me see, I will find some good combat tricks that make sense for using a sling and bullet.
I will say that you got 1 over the difficulty.
Yeah.
Well, it's contested themes attempted to dodge.
Yeah. So the target, you could buy distraction. That costs 1 hit. The target suffers a +1 difficulty on all ranged combat and athletics attacks until the end of your next turn. That would be on ranged combats. It's trying to make it itself, so that doesn't really work. Feint. For every hit spent on feint, you generate enhancement on your or an ally's next attack against the opponent you're attacking. You could, as it's ranged, also go for, let's see, pin down. It applies a minor complication to the character's next attack. If they choose not to buy this complication off, then they receive 1 automatic injury. It's a little like keeping someone under suppressive fire, if you like. If you're pinning someone down, they can't move and they're constantly taking hits. That could be a good one to use here. Basically just imposes a complication on the giant arachnida when they next move. But there's various tricks in the book, but those are some good ones.
Yeah, I think I would like to use that trick, please.
Okay, so for your sake, Jack, the giant arachnida is pinned down, which means as it was only 1 hit, they receive a minor complication to their next attack.
Sure.
If they do not buy it off, they will take an injury.
So with the amount of damage they've taken, I'd assume that's the 2 damage, the 1 because they got 1 over.
It's only 1 damage right now, but
Okay.
and the piercing, because they didn't have armor, it just goes straight through anyhow. But the pin down will affect them on their turn if they fail to buy off the complication.
Okay, gotcha. So, as you are the one who led the initiative, who do you want to go next?
I think Noki be good to go next.
Okay, fun times. So I need to get in range and whack it. That seems to be the best course of action here. So
Whacking where and whacking what?
well,
Whack him, Phoenix.
I think hitting the spider in the fangs or in the eyes would be pretty ideal. Because whacking its leg just means it's going to bite me. So I'm going to stab it in the face and hope for the best.
Okay. So could you give for me a close combat plus mighty or dex? I assume is whichever's the highest
It'll
for
be
you.
might in this case, yeah.
Okie dokie.
Yeah. All right.
Difficulty 2, as that's the defense of the
Okay.
creature.
Yep. Her sword is piercing, and if this works, I will use a supplemental sorcery, and I think probably Blood Trail would work for this, where it'll inflict a status lock, a chaos locked status effect on it, so it can't use chaos. If it could, I don't know. We'll see if I actually get any. Okay, cool. I like this. I have 5 hits.
Ooh.
Cool. Well, Spider-Face McGee got 1 success, so that's 4 left over to do things with, if I've interpreted that correctly.
Absolutely. So yeah, Kim, that's 1 damage automatically. You can, and so back to sorceries for a moment. Kim mentioned using a supplemental sorcery. You've got 2 kinds of sorceries in this game: simple and supplemental. Supplemental, you don't roll separately for. You basically roll usually an attack, and the sorcery is channeled through the attack. In this case, Kim rolled close combat plus might, which is the dice pool for blood trail, the sorcery in question. As a supplemental effect, when using blood trail, the chaosist, or in this case, the hunter, inflicts the chaos locked status effect, which persists until the end of the scene. The caster may extend this duration by bleeding onto their weapon. Now, the caster always knows the exact distance and direction to any creature they have given the Chaos Locked effect, if that creature remains Chaos Locked. So, I guess it makes sense now to explain what Chaos Locked does, which is that the sorcery, blah blah blah. Once the Chaos Locked status effect is applied, it can't be applied again. It is specifically, in this case, so that you can always find the giant Spyder. Hence why the sorcery is called Blood Trail. So if the giant arachnida tries to flee, we will know where it has fled to, or you will anyway. And a sorcery can relieve this status effect, or when the story ends, or scene in the case of this sorcery. So you also have additional hits there because you, I think Jack said difficulty 2.
Yes.
And that you also got a hit there, and I think Kim got 4 in total. Was that right, or 5?
I got 5 in total.
In that case, you've still got 2 hits to play with to buy combat tricks if you want.
Control F.
So when people have this game in their hands, all of this information will be handily local to where you are, so you can work out immediately what it is you want to do. But yeah, this is very much, Jack is doing a wonderful job running a game from a manuscript with no illustrations and no layout.
Thank you.
So we are explaining this bit by bit to make it make sense to viewers and listeners, and so that we're not having to spend time, navigating document to document.
So, I guess Sunder would be good. Sunder a Fang. So, Sunder is 2 or 3 hits. You can use your weapon to damage your opponent's gear, weapon, armor, or otherwise, making it useless for the rest of the scene. Sunder costs 3 hits when used against items with Chaos Touched, Chaos Forged, or Chaos Bound tag.
So you're basically going to be rendering its fangs useless.
Ideally, yes.
Excellent. Give it Toothache.
Just what it needs right now. And of course,
It's going to have a bad day.
I'm not quite too sure how you would strike the head, but the vision that I would have here is that maybe like an upward strike with the sword, like through its head sort of thing, and it lets out a horrendous howl that shakes the very building that you're in. And as it does that, where you're standing begins to rumble, and some of the surroundings begin to crumble.
So it's either Emerald or the Spyder. What do you think?
I might be able to finish the Spyder off, or at least to scare it away. I'm not running up to it. I have no armor. I've got a pickaxe, but I've got no armor. I'm just going to fling a sorcery at it if you want me to take my turn.
Right, go ahead, Emerald.
Okay, I've got 3-dot sorcery called Black Blood of the Earth.
Before you explain
Yes.
that, is your torch
Yes.
still lit? Just out of curiosity.
I would assume not if we're in this glowing chamber.
Okay. Sorry, carry on.
But don't worry, because I'm about to make fire. As an alchemist, I love making fire out of nothing. And so, Black Blood of the Earth, I need to roll Enigmas plus Cunning. We're on the Iron Stratum, so that means I get a complication of 1. And I only actually get 1 hit, so that means I'm going to end up with a complication in the form of a chaotic retaliation, which is fun. So it's a minor chaotic retaliation. Jack, as you haven't had a chance to roll anything yet, would you like to roll, let's say 2d10 to determine what minor chaotic retaliation occurs as I cast this sorcery.
Do you want the individual numbers or the total?
The total, please.
Well, there weren't any hits. I have rolled a 4 and a 7.
Oh, no. Oh, sorry. Yeah, added together, so 11 then.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, this is actually a positive chaotic retaliation, so I'll get onto the effect of the sorcery in a moment, but the retaliation is strengthen bonds. All characters within short range who share a bond with the caster increase that bond by 1 to a maximum of 5. In theory, we're not bonded yet, but maybe this is the moment where we do bond as a party. So, huzzah! We all give each other enhancements against this spider if it lives for another round. But that isn't my plan. My plan to go back to Black Blood of the Earth. The caster chooses a point within medium range on the spider. A sphere of ultraviolet chaos ripples through everything within short range of the chosen point. This wave has no effect on creatures other than causing a disconcerting feeling, but everywhere the chaos touches stone or raw earth, so hopefully the ceiling above it, a blast of hot, viscous black fluid sprays out, filling the area with a swirling mass of boiling oil and applying the aflame area effect. In short, I'm setting this poor creature whose den we stumbled into on fire. Hoping that if it doesn't die on its turn, because it will take an injury on the next turn just by being on fire, that on our next round, Noki might be able to take our Darv's head and we'll start running. But we'll see. Either way, it's on fire and I'm still at a safe distance, so good luck everyone else.
Well, the reason why I asked a moment ago if your torch is still lit, just to metagame and break the immersion for a second, Spider-Face McGee has a vulnerability to fire.
Oh.
So, as a reflexive action, I now roll the creature's secondary pool, because there's a whole theme on monster creation here, which I absolutely love. Says the forever of GM. Alright, so that was a complete fail. So on the fail, given the creature is on fucking fire, the most logical thing it's going to do now is GTFO and just turn round and just jump and run and scream as this poor bastard of a thing is on fire. And I will say, because its legs... one of the legs was using to occupy Agdvar. It will now do what it can to shake it free.
What an ignominious end. Just
basically, yeah. A huge hole in its chest, just flung like a stroppy child of a toy as this creature just runs, and you sort of see this ball of mash just sort of just plummet down to the darkness. Now, you're not sure whether it fell, it jumped, or it climbed, but it just runs for a little bit and then immediately just runs downwards.
And the good news is, Kim, you'll be able to trace it until it's dead because of your sorcery. Who wants to fetch the body?
Well, I guess that's me.
Yeah, well volunteered. I'll secure our escape route.
Well, as it appears that the building around you is beginning to fall apart and crumble, time is at the essence, so I require a survival and dexterity, or athletics and dexterity, whichever is the highest of those pools.
Very generous of you.
I do try to be.
0 in athletics.
What was the other thing than athletics? What we could also roll?
Survival.
Survival. Thank you.
I'd like to remind people we have 1 momentum if anyone screws up.
I have 2 hits.
I also have 2 hits.
I also have 2 hits.
Wunderbar squared. With a body in tow, the 3 of you are able to run out of the room through the corridor. More of these spiders begin to appear now, screaming and hissing, as like running about trying to find a safe place as their sanctuary is falling down from them.
Sorry.
So kind. Could you make that roll for me one more time?
I'd like to propose an alternative for me, if I may.
Go on.
I really need to find So I've not achieved any of my aspirations yet. My aspirations are heal another character's injury, which Milo took from me. Find a new source of food, water, or chaos for your community. Make an uninhabitable cavern habitable. Or, no, actually, I've got momentum generator. Learn something new about a creature's ecology. Could I have a momentum for learning that this particular breed of Arachnida is vulnerable to fire?
I will allow that.
Alright, in that case, I'm not going to try using a pickaxe on a spider just so I have a new source of food for my community.
I mean, if you want to take a run and swing and just like to have a spider on a stick on your way out, you're more than welcome to. It will be very difficult to.
What can I
Want a
say?
snack?
Yeah, I think it'll be a complicated thing. No, I'm going to do the sensible thing. I've generated some momentum. Now I'm going to flee.
All right. So if you could make the previous roll that you made.
Yeah. That is 1 hit.
2 hits.
2 hits.
All right. So Wunderbar once more, but without the trifecta squared. Yeah, you're able just to run down the hall through the squelching bodies back onto the hard safety of, well, I say safety, the flat surface, and just in the nick of time as you're able just to get through the crevice, everything behind you just caves in on itself, accompanied by a cacophony, symphonic squelching and crying of spiders that have been crushed to death, those that didn't manage to find safety.
Oh, those poor creatures.
You can go back and scrape up parts.
No, that's fine. Let's get back to Null's knee. I think we need to explain this thing.
Just dangling the head attached to the body.
He just needs a puppet, I guess.
Maybe we should. You're a Hadean. Should we clean the body first? Bring it to Boob in the best possible state.
Well, if you're proposing that we gut the body and truss it up for
No,
leatherwork.
I was not suggesting that we bring it back in usable parts. I wasn't going to say, well, listen, we found your brother dead, so we turned him into a map, a book, and look, we turned his skull into a drinking flask. I didn't think. No, I thought that won't go down well with the chieftain. I was thinking applying some water to his skin, maybe, and combing the gunk from his beard, so that he is as his brother remembers him, or as close as possible. But who am I? I'm not the Hadean here. Let's flay him.
I will say that mentioning about as when you say like as close as you can get, like his corpse or what remains of it is all shriveled up. Like,
yeah.
To put a really grotesque example to it, if you imagine if it was possible to stick a straw in somebody and just suck it all the way in, kind of like a Capri Sun, like carton of juice sort of effect going on there. His jaw is sort of locked out, open into place.
We can try to rehydrate him. Find straw or something if you want to like fluff him out a little bit more, like a pillow. Or
is that how it works?
Do you want to blow him up like a balloon?
I don't think that's how it works.
fill him full of straw.
Is this how Apricians do that?
No, not really.
I mean, we could iron him. He is very wrinkly right now, but
make him easier to transport. No, he's not a prey. He's a person. He was a person.
Oh, well, thank goodness we've come to this conclusion.
Just joking. But yeah, we can try to treat the body with a little bit more respect than it's gotten so far. To take it back because it is the chieftain's brother.
Indeed. May Golthon care for him in his wherever he is now.
In this state.
But
fine. When we'll find our next water course. I believe the map said there was a stream nearby. We'll wash him and prepare the body as well as we can. And no, we're not going to inflate him.
Thank God.
like a balloon. Just bring him in on a
Hydrate the
string.
If anything, the massive space where most of his chest was will make the whole inflation process a bit difficult.
It will, won't it? I mean, yeah, that's the fatal flaw. I'm glad you pointed that out. Otherwise, it would have been a
All that-
perfectly valid thing to do.
All that effort just
Their
got to
own-
waste.
Their own mortician will figure out what to do with this.
I mean, Milo has curative clay, which usually heals, but can I just like mend the body so it looks a bit more presentable with it as well?
By stuffing him with clay.
Yes.
Do you have enough clay to fill the entire hole where the chest should be? Literally the entire. Well, it's more the stomach at this point, but
Well, if we're going to this, technically, if we're going to the stream, we don't need to use the special clay. We can just use the dirt and mud and just.
Well, that's no way to treat a chieftain's brother, is it? Just stuff him with
No.
silt.
I'd rather use the very limited alchemical knowledge I have to at least give some respect, you know.
Well, I appreciate that about you, Milo. You have respect for alchemy.
Thank you.
I won't make you roll for this because it really would be just a lost effort at this point. There, an attempt has been made, and I think there would be some.
we could make him look even worse.
I was just about to say there may be some purists who think you have made it look worse, like it's a child's attempt sort of thing. But, you know, given the circumstances, he says with a raised eyebrow, an attempt has been made to make him look more presentable.
Look, we're not morticians.
Yes.
No,
We're
I'm not
trying,
suggesting an
okay?
open coffin ceremony here.
Definitely not. And I'm sure upon your return to Burb's palace, who is obviously very heart-stricken and upset and angry and all those conflicting emotions about the state of this, sometime in the near future he would offer you your rewards and begrudgingly the extract of wooden throne for you, Emerald.
In that case, I will say to him, again, completely lacking all tact, well, in that case, your brother did not die in vain, and I'll get my planer out.
And I think that's a beautiful place to end the session. But before we do, I would be curious to see that as an epilogue of sorts, what everyone would be going off doing in the near future. Presuming that Em would be allowed to live after that wonderful speech. In fact, we'll start with Emerald. What would you be doing?
Well, I mean, having harvested some intact wood that doesn't appear to have succumbed to rot, my first thing would be to find the nearest company of artificers guild. I don't think there's one in Null's Knee, so my suggestion to my bondmates here, as we are now bondmates, is that we travel to X settlement, let's say Erahulk, back to Erahulk, where we can bring them this wood and our findings regarding these spiders, and maybe on the way we'll encounter something interesting. But I don't recommend staying around Null's Knee. I feel like I'm not welcome anymore. I don't know why.
I mean, if Emerald is suggesting to travel, Milo wouldn't pass that up. He would offer the now bigger room that he got to the other refugees and be happy to travel with Emerald to see all of Godwin's glory throughout the world below.
And would our third and final have the courage to explore these two eclectic individuals?
Hey, you know, there's all kinds of interesting death along the way. Noki likes seeing what there has to be seen, what things can be. She is part of the Explorers Collective, so she can also report her findings and then continue on and see what other interesting things they can kill and hopefully not mutilate any other bodies. But they were like that when we got there. We didn't do that.
Yeah. Speaking of which, on our way back to Null's Knee, was the raider still there, unconscious? Was it just a bloody splat, or
I couldn't deal with the screaming.
just a perfectly intact leg with binding around it and a completely missing body? Even the bugs didn't want to touch that.
Well, let's decide first whether he was there or not or back. Odds or evens?
Oh, Evans, if he's alive, if he was there.
He was not.
Oh, completely gone.
Mm.
Maybe someone we will encounter again in future, an NPC for you to name for us, Jack. So
I'm
we
sure.
never even asked his name.
No.
I'm sure
Well,
he'll remember us.
I'm sure he will. I'm sure no one will ever forget this experience as the three of you ride off into the sunset, so to speak.
Yeah.
So that was an experience. Wrapped up in the bow that is the world below, and I hope through it all that everybody, both player and viewer, managed to enjoy themselves. And if you've at all been intrigued by some of the systems in place, you'll find links to the Kickstarter and various Onyx Path related themes in the description below, as well as all the various places where you can find these beautiful free. And we're actually going to go we're going to go through the normal way. Why spice things up? So to my right we have Kim. Where can people find you with your things?
I am still on the former Bird app, Kim Godwin 18. I'm also on Instagram with that. You can find me on my website, KimberlyGodwin.com or StudioHNH.com.
I'm on most of the apps with @Rikimon, which is very weirdly spelled, so you probably better look it up in the description.
People can find me. Sorry, Jack, I gazumped you. You can find me on MatthewDawkins.com. They can find me on the Bird app at DawkinsMP for as long as it's free. And, of course, on the Onyx Path Discord, where you can ask me any questions about the world below and wood shavings.
I'm sure there will be like at least one person who inquire your tree knowledge.
Yeah, some funny person.
Yes, to put it nicely. And then there was the best to last, he says half jestingly. Yes, I am Law by Night. You can find me on, again, most social media platforms as Law by Night, VTM. Instagram, it's filled with underscores because it looks messy as all in one word. You can also find me around on the Law by Night Discord server, which, again, you'll find in the description below. And, yeah. Oh, and I also have a community tab thing for the YouTube channel where I post updates as well. And the general Law by Night podcast shenanigans, which is every Thursday at 6 p.m. UK time, which I word like that because apparently we need 2 time zones, BST and GMT, +1 or -1, depending on the time of year. Anywho, again, I hope everyone here has enjoyed themselves, both player and viewer, listener, whatever. I'd also just want to give a little thanks to Matthew and the Onyx Path team for allowing me this opportunity to run, look over and absorb the world below. It's been a wonderful experience, and I just appreciate it a lot, so thank you ever so much.
We've been wanting to do something with you for quite some time, Jack, so I am very glad, very happy that you have run this for me, and also a real treat get to play this game. And on a recording, most of the time people see me in the Storyguide chair, so thank you very much for letting me play.
You're very welcome. Hopefully this will not be the last time for such endeavours.
Well, if you'll have us back after all this.
Oh, I'd love to.
Absolute chaos. But thank you for running. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I'm glad. That means a lot. And until next time, farewell.